Um, I'm tired of talking. I mean, I'm not tired. I love it. I'm not tired of talking about it, but I am tired of not talking about the murder mystery. So, where we left off, as you may have read in the recap, we have finished Act 2. We finished with Zyla being pulled off to prison or walked off to the gaping prison by Grunt, leaving everyone else sort of shell shocked in the main, the town hall where all these sort of trials happen. I call them trials. I've been trying so hard not to use Danganronpa lingo. Like, I've been trying really hard to avoid the term mastermind in any way, shape, or form. I appreciate the heads up, Red. Obviously, don't worry. Comfort comes first. You enjoy yourself. But so we now are left in the room with everyone except for Grunt and Zyla. Even as we recall, Olive is still here. Olive was it was required for Olive to be here for this trial, even though they were not at the first one, because they had a piece of evidence. What with their parents being the ones who was in prison, the ones who were suspects. Yeah, I too hope we get more context for Zyla's motives, he says, knowing full well whether we do or not. But yeah, we're going to dive in. I, time wise, have a solid 4 hours. If my voice and mind holds up, we'll see. I would love to get through Act 3. It's shorter than Act 2, so it shouldn't be a problem. But some of the downtime events might be longer. I'm just going to start reading. We fade up, and we get dot dot dots from pretty much everyone. Joffrey, Nyron, Rogo, Penny, Belle, Edgar, Xeris, Cal, and David all get a little dot 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 as we kind of go through these kind of like dour expressions before Joffrey finally speaks up saying, "No kidding! You guys want to know what happened to the priestess or not?" David goes, "You know what happened to the priestess?" "Well, I've got a pretty good idea at least." Nyron, "Why didn't you bring it up sooner?" "Because until a minute ago, the person who wanted her dead was in this room. I wasn't about to give more information to an attempted murderer." Xeris, risky but smart. "So, what's your theory?" "What do you all know about terminus magic?" David, terminus? Is that like terminal, like for carriages? "No, David, like terminus, meaning death or an ending." David goes like ghost white. Right. It is in fact terminus time. Yes, I've told Jake about this already. Uh, this is where up till now it's all been Danganronpa inspired, and this is where uh, the notary games really shove their face in as Joffrey goes on a tangent. Um, David is my favorite boy. Guys, I will at some point, even if you guys don't choose it, read you both of David's downtime events because they're so good. I love them so much. Right, it's not as bad as it sounds. Believe it or not, I mean, it can be. It's not as bad as it sounds, believe it or not. I mean, it can be, but typically it isn't. The idea of terminus magic is that some spells. I don't like that line at all. Hang on. I'm going to take away, I mean, it can be, but typically it isn't. It's not necessary. It's not as bad as it sounds, believe it or not. The idea of terminus magic is that some spells you don't want cast until another one is done with. It's a pretty simple arcane theory to establish. Anyone with a few months of study can figure out how to apply it to just about anything. Imagine you want to keep a plant alive with magic, so you cast a fountain spell to rain water down on it. But you don't know how long this spell is going to last, and you can't be bothered to check in on it every few hours. You've got better things to do. So, you cast another spell, a simple noise spell to sound like a choir of angels singing. But instead of letting the spell happen immediately, you nest it inside the death of your first spell. Terminus magic. That way, when your fountain runs out, the stored spell energy goes off immediately, and your choir of angels tells you it's time to re-up the water supply. Simple, right? Edgar. So, you think the priestess had terminus magic nested inside of the sanctuary? Even the god's favor comes in some form of magic. And it stands to reason. When Arya put that sanctuary up all those years ago, she had no idea how long it would hold. How long till the water runs out? She could hope that it's forever, but forever is a long time. So she laid a contingency in some terminus magic. Another spell to be cast in case her sanctuary ever ended. The door opens. Grunt comes in. "What did I miss?" Edgar. "Shh, I'll catch you up later." Grunt. "Very well." Belle. "So what? Someone took down the sanctuary?" Joffrey. "Course not. But Arya doesn't need sleep. She meditates. She's well aware of the world around her. So when she heard someone charging at her, sword drawn," Penny, "she would have had to come out of the meditation which took down the sanctuary. And boom! Whatever spell she had at the ready kicks in." Nyron. "But what spell? What would she have done?" Joffrey. "If I were her, I'd have teleported. Because from her perspective, the biggest danger is the Harbingers. And if one found a way through her sanctuary, she would basically be dead in seconds. So, by having a teleportation spell to take her far away when the sanctuary fades, she could at least save her own life and maybe work towards establishing a new safe haven somewhere else. Xeris, so what you're saying is she could come back. Maybe. Olive, no she won't. Xeris, Olive! Belle, what's that supposed to mean? Olive, I mean she's not coming back. Nyren, Olive, go to your room immediately. Penny, wait, Nyren, now! Olive, storms off, door slams. Oh, Brian, thank you for the lurk. Of course, yes. No spoilers yet. I appreciate the lurk, though. Xeris, you will have to excuse them. Olive has had a stressful day. Oh yeah, no. Olive's not great. This is the first time we really. No, we've seen a couple of scenes with Olive. We'll get there. You have to excuse them. Olive's had a stressful day. Nyren. Oh, don't act like they aren't always like that. Nyren. Olive has always been melodramatic and defeatist, assuming the worst and welcoming it when it comes. Don't pretend like this is any different. Xeris. That's not... Forget it. It's not important right now. Penny. What is important right now? Nyren. We have to figure out what to do next. For now, we're still safer here than outside. But that's only until the Harbingers figure out that our city is no longer protected. That could be months, weeks, or if we're unlucky, days. Grunt. Ma'am! Now that we know I wasn't behind the attack, permission to double guards around the city? Xeris. No. More guards near the sanctuary's border will only draw more attention to us. Let them keep watch from a distance. Edgar. Yeah, not much they'll be able to do against a Harbinger anyway. Penny, did you ever actually manage to kill one? Penny. Not yet, but I think I may have some ideas on how it's done. Cal. Well, count me out. I ain't gonna do y'all any good. I could try to concoct some things to help with the battle. Nyren. Yes, we're all quite capable here. Cal excluded, no offense. None taken! Nyren. So, we should all focus on how to fight back when our city is inevitably found. Joffrey. I mean, I'll do what I can, but my options are limited. Xeris. What do you mean, limited? You're the strongest of us, aren't you? Yeah, except for one thing. The curse, remember? Penny. Doesn't your curse just stop you from adventuring? Yeah, but in terms of the terms of adventure are pretty loose. It was one thing helping a bunch of people in a city, but protecting a defenseless city falls pretty square in adventure duty. I don't know how much help I'll be. Joffrey, we'll talk later. Maybe there's some loopholes or something we can figure out. I'm all ears if you've got ideas. All right, let's take some time to figure out what we each stand to offer and come up with plans moving forward. We'll regroup here in 2 days' time and discuss what to do next. Agreed? Yes, ma'am. David. Okay, maybe I can work on a new sanctuary. Edgar. Got it. Xeris, let's talk strategy at some point. Sure. I'll be in my store if anyone needs me. I'll take over Zyla's shop since she's in prison. Eli. Oh, to see the town working together. It is a heartwarming sight after the horrors of the past week. Yeah, for now we should get some rest. It's been a long day. Agreed. Let us away. 1 second. Edit. Let's see. I have ideas about Olive, or maybe knowledge. That's true. I think you may actually know, because I may have told you at some point what Olive did when I was dropping the whole thing on you, what their whole deal was. But maybe not. I don't know. And I think it's also changed since the specifics of everything have changed since I did the initial stream where I talked ideas for this. So there's going to be twists and turns even for people who know the story. All right, let's keep moving. All right. The screen fades. When it comes back up, we find Penny lying awake in bed, back in her night robes. If you recall, Penny is one of the only people in the game who, Penny's one of the only people in the game who need 2 looks. I would like everyone to have 2 looks, a day-night look and a night look, because not everyone wears the same clothes every time. I understand that is more... if I see I'll just squinty eyes. You're not wrong. But no, so Penny does have the kind of robes as well, which it's a thing. I want our main character to have pajamas. Let me have this. Are you having trouble sleeping again, my lady? Yeah. How am I supposed to sleep with no sanctuary? You did it quite well for nearly a year. I would be delighted to keep watch as always. and I appreciate that, but it's not me I'm worried about. It was easy when I was risking my own life. I've always felt ready to face death. I think I got that from Kite. But everyone else? I'd never forgive myself if something happened to them. You've done so much already to protect them, to keep them safe from harm. Have I, though? If I hadn't left... My lady, that is quite enough of all that. How long must you continue berating yourself for not being able to tell the future? You did what you felt was best, with always the best of intentions in mind. Thanks, Eli. It's just hard to believe that right now. I understand, my lady. ... This isn't over yet. I know it's not. Then we shall face whatever comes together next, my lady. Yeah. Whew. Screen fades. Eli is best boy. There's a lot of good boys in this game. He says, tooting his own horn. Screen fades. I'll talk with Joffrey about loopholes tonight, but I'll need some way to kill time today, too. Maybe I should get to know someone better. Downtime section. So, guys, let's vote on our first downtime. Last time we did Edgar and we did Joffrey. Those are both available again if you would like to see the second part of either, or you can pick someone else in the town if you would like to have someone else's downtime event. So if there's anyone else in town you want to spend time with, of course, Zyla is not an option because Zyla has now been arrested, and you can't get downtime with anyone who's been arrested. That's not to say you can't talk to them, but it will not result in any sort of downtime. There's wander and talk time later. Okay, that's 2 votes for David. That's enough for me. Let's get David's first event. Alrighty. And I'm not going to make the same mistake as last time where I read them both and then remember, oh, there's scenes between these. I'll do one, go to the scene, and then go to the other. Penny and David sit on the couch in the bar. Penny has a drink. David has like a glass of ice water. Thanks for asking to hang out, Penny. I really missed you while you were gone. I missed you too, David. It was really hard for me to say no when you asked to come with me. You were right, I think. I bet I would have slowed you down. Oh, I don't know about that. You're a capable warrior. Not to mention your healing magic. You didn't even get hurt. My magic wouldn't have done anything for you. Besides, I used to be able to fight really well, but I don't think I really can anymore. I don't think I really can anymore. You can't be that rusty. Oh no, I don't mean from being here. I stopped being able to fight way before I came to Merryroot City. Huh? What do you mean? What happened? Well, I was a part of a religious order, right? I was trained as a cleric, but I really wanted to be one of the temple's paladins. They always looked so brave and strong. So I trained for a really, really long time, since I was a little kid even. But you can't be a paladin until you turn 16. So on my 16th birthday, I went to perform the trials. The trials? Yeah! They were a really intense collection of tests where you had to heal wounds and fight other warriors, and at the end, you even have to do battle with a real dragon. Oh, wow. Those are some trials. Did you pass? With flying colors. Everyone was so impressed with me. Usually after you pass, there's a sort of waiting period before you can get your official paladin armor. But I did so well, they were going to skip it and get my armor forged the next day. I should have been a paladin in less than 24 hours. But you're not? What happened? Well, the world ended. The Harbingers arrived, and the smith who forged the holy armor for the paladins was killed. Oh no! But doesn't that mean that doesn't mean you aren't a warrior anymore? Just because you don't have paladin's armor doesn't mean you aren't one in my eyes. I thought so too, but I don't know what happened after that. It was like all of a sudden I couldn't do it anymore. Do it? Like anything. My mentor said it was because of mental trauma, but after that day, I didn't even remember how to hold my mace properly. I lost all my abilities basically overnight. I went to go help with a mission for the temple, but since I couldn't use my magic well anymore, it went really badly and everyone died. Oh, gods. I mean, a lot of people died that day since the world was ending, but I definitely messed up and I still don't know why. I've been working hard since then to get stronger, and I joined a few little adventuring groups before I found Merryroot City, but I've never been as strong as I was since my trials. That's so strange. Yeah, I don't get this whole trauma thing, but it definitely took a lot out of me. I don't think that's how trauma works, but I guess I don't know. It sounds pretty mysterious. I'd be surprised if anyone knew. Ain't that the truth? Anyway, most of my groups didn't get very far, but I managed to keep growing. The last group I was in, I even managed to take down a Harbinger. What? David, how have you never told me this story before? Huh? I don't know. I didn't feel it. It didn't feel important, is it? You killed a Harbinger. Of course it's important. Oh, okay. Well, not me personally, but the group I was in did. Tell me everything. And Edgar cuts in, hey, you two, not to break up the party, but it is late. I'm going to close down and get some sleep. Ah, you're killing me, Ed. David, next time we hang out, can you tell me how your party beat a Harbinger? Sure. Incredible. I can't wait. And we fade to black. Um, Now, some of you, I don't know who of you, it may be some, maybe none actually, may know David's story and the story he originally came from, but the next downtime event is the very brief summation of that story put in this medium. But that is the end of the downtime event, so I'm going to get back to the script, and you guys can debate who you want to go talk to next later. Okay. We'll get to that. I'm actually going to save you the trouble. You cannot take a downtime event with Olive. Because to do that, you need to go into the Noble's Manor, and each time you try, the Nobles basically nix that. That is not an option you have. So Olive does not. At least, I may write one in. I'm struggling a little bit with an Olive downtime event. I can't go into more detail than that. And here's the main. Can I tell you the main reason I actually do want to write one in, even though like it makes sense to not be able to get one. Olive is very antisocial and the noble and very sheltered thanks to the nobles. But by not having a downtime event, it makes Olive even more suspicious, which I don't like. I want there to be an even playing field. Makara is an option. You can now take a Makara downtime event. We know her. But again, first I'm going to continue with the scene. You guys can discuss this on the side. That night, speaking of, the screen fades up on Joffrey, Makara, and Penny sitting around a table together with a fine meal laid out in Casa de Joffrey. Makara, this is amazing. Oh, I apologize for the confusion. I did not prepare dinner. Yours truly, baby. Since when can you cook? Edgar showed me a thing or two in my years here. In our many years here. Makara, I bet he has. I understand your secrecy, but I wish I'd known about you earlier. This has been a much-needed break from the usual. It is my pleasure to spend time with you, Penelope Knifewood. I only hope we have the time to continue these clandestine gatherings. Absolutely likewise. My two favorite women... this is Joffrey. Absolutely likewise. My two favorite women in the same place is something I can get used to. I was hoping to talk to you about that, actually. Makara, I mentioned to Joffrey earlier that maybe we could try to find some loopholes around the curse so he could help protect Merryroot in the absence of the priestess. Yes, we have discussed such things often. Unfortunately, the strength of the curse is quite legendary. Yeah, we've played around with it from time to time. I can't even throw spells into the outside world. It's pretty rigid. But what did you do about the curse when there was nothing but adventure, though, before you came here? That time doesn't exist. I was coming here that triggered the curse in the first place. What? It is a sad story. Oh, hang on. It is a sad story, but one I would not change. Why did I start writing contractions for? One I would not change. I am glad we found this place. Thank you for the lurk, Lauren. Likewise, but the story effectively goes that I had a deal with a powerful dark wizard. Some weirdo named Venexius, I think. Really strong dude. We were basically at a stalemate, and this is me we're talking about. So we came to a truce that basically said I'd leave him to his business, he'd leave me to mine, and he'd leave me to mine and all that. And that is when Joffrey pulled a fast one. Hang on, I want to relook over this. I'm just going to highlight this that phrasing felt weird to me, so I'm just going to make a note for myself. Thank you. You know how I do. I added a condition. That the next time each of us settled down, it would be our last. No more evil wizarding for him, no more adventuring for me. He liked that idea, and sealed it in place with a powerful dark magic curse. So you never settled down. You just kept adventuring till you got to Merryroot? Yep. Apparently, the few days we spent scouting the place counted, as I found myself unable to leave for another adventure. What about Venexius? Hit him with a sleep spell. He was out for 24 hours. Counted for his side of the curse right away. My clever little wizard. Why didn't you just finish him off while he was sleeping? Oh, evil wizards always have these weird death contingencies. Like, if I killed him, he evolves into a bigger, stronger evil wizard or something. I wasn't fucking with that. Sure. I'm amazed it's my first time hearing this story. Given that it ends with me coming to Merryroot like a chump, I don't love telling that one. So, what can be done about it? Nothing! Because breaking the curse means Venexius can get back to his evil mumbo-jumbo, and that's the worst news! Imagine someone with my kind of power, but evil! Yeah, that does sound bad. And you're sure he's still out there? Just like me! I may not be able to adventure, but I'll be damned if I let anything kill me. And Venexius can't get up to his old tricks, but he can still keep... And Venexius can't get up to his old tricks, but he can still keep himself kicking. I get it. That does make moving forward tricky, though. Especially if we have to leave Merryroot. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, to be honest. We will figure out something, my love. You just have to let me protect you for once. Can't think of anyone I'd rather have on my side, babe. Actually, Makara, you said you mostly do abjuration magic now, right? Barriers and such? Uh, barriers and the like? That is correct. Your memory is exceptional. Your memory is as exceptional as your company, Penelope Knifewit. I've actually been devising some spells that could protect the city, and in theory, I could complete the one that could work as effectively as the sanctuary. That's amazing. What's the catch? The catch is that I do not meditate like the priestess did. I could maintain a barrier around the city for some time, but it would come at the cost it would come at the cost of great physical and mental duress. I could preserve something of that strength for no longer than a few hours, and even that I may not recover from. It'd be different if we could work together. Two powerful casters a spell like that, we might actually be able to seal it in place and just leave it up forever. But that would go against your curse. Aye, there's the rub. Well, it's worth looking into at least. If you found another caster in the city who would be able to lend that kind of power to the spell, would you consider coming to the public eye to cast it? If it meant the safety of the city, Penelope Knifewit, there is nothing I would not do. Good to know. Thanks. All right, you should get going before someone else gets murdered. Oh, gods, don't even joke about that. Hey, someone's gotta. Yeah. Night, Joffrey. Night, Makara. Night! Good night, Penelope Knifewit. And now we get, Joffrey has no filter, and I love him for it. Next downtime event. So, if you guys want to pick on a new character, you're welcome to. If you would like to rehash a character we've already seen, you're welcome to do that. But we're going to dive into it because we can. So, we've now seen David, Edgar, and Joffrey for session 1. Just David part 2. I like it. No one cared as much about the other stories. Like, we set up, like, Edgar and Joffrey stories. Like, whatever. Edgar had, I guess, a lover or something, and Joffrey had to fight his friend. It's tell you what. I'm gonna do both. Here's what I'm gonna do both. I've got the time, and this is so the whole reason you can't do any of the part 2s, like you can't just do 2 people back to back, is because there's some of the second hangouts that demand the first mystery. I wouldn't have, for instance, if you said, let's do Zyla's part 2, I would have been like, about that, because there isn't one. And I don't remember which part 2s mention previous mysteries, but I know that you can only do the part 1 of everybody. So that said, let's go ahead and do Makara and David. We've got the time. We're having fun here. Act 3 is shorter than Act 2, and I'm having a good time. So let's start with David, because I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. We will, and that's the thing is, there will be a free time roam mode in this, much like Danganronpa when you beat the game. So when we get to the end of the script, I will absolutely read you the rest of the 9 events we haven't gotten to yet. But for now, let's go ahead and do David 2. Actually, let's break it up. Let's do Makara first and then go back and do David 2, since we're doing both anyway. So we see, speaking of CG, so the first CG for each of these downtime events is this one in the thing. During the second one, we're meant to see it in like story style flashbacks. It's a bunch of them, which is again a huge budget thing. But in this case, the one image we get from Makara and Penny hanging out is the 2 of them, Penny in her like black robes and Makara in her like white nightgown, so like yin yang style, on like inflatable pool things, like in Joffrey's like lavish pool area that we haven't seen but we heard about. So just like chilling, just straight chilling. And Penny, it starts with Penny going, all right, I get it. I get why you don't want to leave. It is certainly quite comfortable in here, but even floating does grow boring after a time. So what do you do to keep busy? When Joffrey's out being social and you're not tired enough to sleep, what do you do all day? Various things. I spend my time honing my abjurative magics. Not abjurative, that's not a thing. Abjurative magics. I go for long walks. I listen to Joffrey's conversations through the back door. No, really? Is it so hard to believe? I guess not. So you sort of know people in this town even without getting to meet them, huh? I suppose so. Between hearing their voices and what Joffrey tells me, I tend to get a pretty good idea of the people I live adjacent to. Do you have any favorites? Other than me, of course. Oh, I was going to say you as well. I am not able to enjoy the pool with anyone else besides Joffrey, after all. You're too kind. But go on. You must be interested in some of them. Do you ever wonder what they look like? Joffrey has described them to me as best he can, but I admit your appearance caught me off guard. Um, okay. Scrap my last question. What about me surprised you? You are far more beautiful than Joffrey stated. I am all at once flattered by you and offended by Joffrey. I do not blame him for understating your looks. He tends not to see people for their physical beauty, so he talks far more of their personality than anything else. I think it is why he takes to me, since I am clearly not traditionally beautiful. You, you cannot be serious about that. Second. Makara. No, I know. Though my dear husband was the first to tell me so, and it took some time for me to believe him. Most people who met me out of hell simply assumed I was a monster, screamed, and ran away. Well, it's their loss for not knowing you. It is kind of you to say so, Penelope Knifewood. You can just call me Penny. You don't need to use my full name every time. If I had a name as unique as that, I would rather appreciate hearing others use it. I quite like the way it sounds, so I enjoy stating it in full. You know, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but I hope one day you decide to come meet the town. I think the others here would love you. I may, one day. For now, I'm still content in my relative silence. So the rest of your life was really that loud, huh? What was hell even like? What would you expect hell to be like? It was hell. Lots of screaming, and even when there was not, the crackling of flames and boiling of magma was constant. It is, by design, an unpleasant place to be. So, how does one go about raising a child there? Your parents must have been something else. I was not raised by my parents. I do not believe any hellborn humans are. I was raised by devils and their servants. Oh, wow. What was that like? Unpleasant, to say the least, and abhorrent to speak of. Suffice it to say for now that I had to do some things that I was none too pleased with. Perhaps another time, on a day not quite as lovely as this one, I will share more of my story. Yeah, I'd like that. And fade out. So yes, 100% is girl bonding time. I love it so much. I love those too. That's the thing, is I really do like all of the downtime events. The reason I'm going to go back to why it's so hard to write one for Olive. It's not because but there's secrets that we don't get to know about because Olive, until later. It's literally storyline confirmed twice by now that every time you talk to Olive, Nyrin or Xerxes are hovering and shut it down before it gets too far. So we see that happen twice in the game already. And I'm wondering if there's a way around it or a way to basically write it where it's like a play date with Olive where it's mostly Penny talking or any... I think there's a way to do it. So I'm going to actually work at it because I don't actually want it to be impossible to do. But I'm really glad you like the dynamics. And I'm really glad you guys think that. But now, let me satisfy your cravings and go and do David Part 2. This is our first Part 2 story. And we see Penny and David back in the bar. Hi, Penny. Tell me everything. Okay. Well, my name is David, but you know that. That's part of everything. So, about the Harbinger you killed, David. Oh, okay. Well, it all started with the strangest people I ever met. Yes, we got to get a My Name is David in there. I'm wondering if I should make that David is my name, because that is a reference to... no, it's not important. My Name is David is still cute. So we flash back to David fighting a goblin with a quarterstaff, and a roguish woman with 2 daggers, all fighting each other. David is looking frantic as they fight. I ran into a bandit and a goblin in the middle of the woods, and they were fighting, so I thought I'd fight too. I didn't know who was the bad guy though, so I sort of just fought them both. We all fought for a while, and they got really tired and realized we all came because of the same monster, a big ogre thing deep in a cave in the woods. We went in, fought it together, and met the last member of our soon-to-be party. That is, hey, Griff, maybe the best compliment I could receive. Oh my god, thank you so much. I'm really, really glad you like him that much. We see an ogre dead on the ground, blood-soaked, and there's a blood-soaked barbarian with huge beard covered in axes standing like he just burst out of this thing's stomach. A weird axe-wielding guy who didn't want us to call him anything. He said he had a name but never told us what it was. Apparently, he had been surviving inside the belly of this ogre, eating whatever food the ogre ate for 9 years. It seemed pretty crazy, but this guy did too. He said an oracle told him to find us, and that and that together we'd all kill a harbinger. I didn't really believe him at the time, but we all started traveling together anyway. We see our four unlikely heroes on the road. The barbarian is cleaned up now. We see he's no longer blood soaked. Still the big beard, carries like 7 axes. The goblin is riding on the barbarian's shoulders, and David is pointing excitedly as the bandit is like examining a map. We made a pretty good team. I was good at healing them when they got hurt, and they were all really good at fighting. But we went to fight this harbinger like the axe guy said we were supposed to, and there were all these other really cool people there to fighting it too. And it was like an army of adventurers. Anyway, then we all died. Record scratch, and we're back in the bar. Wait, what? Yeah, it was really bad. The harbinger was super strong. But you're here now. Uh-huh. And we flash back to the story. We see the four people in the clouds in like heaven stereotype talking to a giant bearded man. Like a very like stereotypical god visual. So when we died, a god talked to us and was all like, you weren't supposed to die, but I couldn't give you the power to beat the harbinger. So instead, I'm going to send the four of you back in time to get stronger and try again. And he sent us back 10 years and made us alive again so we could all try. I want this. That's again too many times. I'll go and fix the phrasing on that later. Are you making this up? We just see the team. We flashback. We see like the team giving a thumbs, giving a thumbs up to the barbarian as the barbarian walks away from himself. And he goes, nope. So then we became the people we met along the way. The crazy axe guy became the oracle who told him we were going to beat the harbinger and told himself that, but in the past. And we trained ourselves and tested ourselves and got stronger and better. So this time we could win, but we still didn't. But that was where the army of cool people came from, right? It was all like different versions of us from different times, sent by the god to kill the harbinger. Isn't that cool? It's, yes, no, that is the story David is initially from. And I thought you might have known it, Jake. Penny, it's very cool and pretty hard to believe. Well, that's because it wasn't true. What? We see a bunch of them, like 30 people, all just like different versions of themselves, standing in front of a monster that's chained, screaming through the wall. It wasn't a god at all. It just told us it was a god. We came up with a plan to talk to the harbinger and be like, hey man, why are you doing this? And it talked back. And we realized, wait, that can't be a harbinger. It wouldn't talk with us. And it was like, what do you mean, why am I doing this? Why are you doing this? And apparently, whichever one of us lost the fight, the not harbinger or my party, or me and my party, the not god would just send the losing side back to try again, but better, back to the bar. Why? Because the not god was actually the harbinger. And whenever we died and went back, it got more powerful. I didn't realize harbingers had that level of, I don't know, sentience, magical power, either. I know, it was crazy. We see a bunch of, like, that whole team and a bunch of the monster all fighting the giant bearded man in the sky who's, like, super angry as, like, barbarians hang from his beard and just, like, this massive comedic fight. Anyway, so we all managed to find the not god harbinger before we died and fought it together. It was really hard, even with, like, 100 of us, and had a bunch of the not, even with, like, 100 of us and a bunch of not harbinger monsters, but we managed to do it. When it died, all the extra versions of us vanished, and it was just a few of us left. And we were all really tired, so we just went our separate ways. That's when I came to Merryroot City. And we go back to the bar. That can't possibly be real. Edgar, who's now, like, sitting and listening as well. Do you think our boy David is capable of spinning a lie that intricate? I don't even know how to lie. I've tried it before, but I always start sweating, and then my throat feels really tight. I threw up once because someone asked how I was, and I said fine, even though I had stubbed my toe and it hurt really bad. Well, hey, one less weird, time-traveling, soul-eating harbinger in the world, right? For that, and so much more, you will always be a great warrior in my heart. Thanks, Penny. That means a lot to me. Fade to black. I forgot about that line, the stub toe vomit line, and I just almost, like, cried of happiness reading it again. I love it so much. Oh, but alas, as much as fun of a break from the nonsense that the downtimes are, it can't all be fun and games. We have another mystery to get to, so let us go back to the script. Oh, boy. We see Penelope in bed again, lying awake. Faintly in the background, we hear Rogo scream singing a song. Originally, currently the song I have in there, because I want to make sure it's something that's public domain, but also I kind of want to shout back to one of my musicals. is the song Big Happy Pirate Crew from my pirate musical. I don't know if I'm going to keep that. I might change it to something else, but it needs to be some obnoxious, high-energy song. Penny is in bed. Edgar is lying in bed with her. Gods, I have slept on top of monsters before and been able to get more rest than this. I apologize, my lady. As an entity that requires no sleep, I have no advice to give you on the situation. It's fine. I just can't shake the feeling that... Wait a second, hang on. Hold. Oh, no, Edgar's not supposed to be in bed with her. My bad. I'm like, why doesn't Edgar have any lines if he's there too? He's not. I changed that. That's not a thing. Um, uh, sorry about that. I'm like, where's Edgar's lines? I was so confused. No advice to the situation. It's fine. I just can't shake the feeling that something else is up. Like, remember the night when the priestess vanished? It's that feeling. I believe Master Kite would have called that following your gut. Would you like to go investigate? Not really. Can you just do a quick... Can you just do a quick sweep around the town and make sure there's nothing weird going on? Of course, my lady. We'll see. I can't tell you if we get them or not. Eli flies off. Rogo's singing gets louder in the distance. Oh my gods, Rogo, you are not helping. It is so late. People are trying to sleep. All appears to be in order, my lady. Great. Can you go stab Rogo, please? My lady! Joking. Of course. But if you could talk to anyone else, I'd have you shut him up at least. Shh. He is bellowing rather loudly for this time of evening. Would you like to pen a message that I can carry to him, my lady? No, it's fine. Guy's having fun. We should be welcoming any joy we can find, especially right now. Very well, my lady. Please inform me if you should change your mind. Actually, speaking of welcoming joy, I think I will have you deliver a message. That was an expedited change of mind indeed. No, not to Rogo. Here, scribbling sounds. Go take this letter to Edgar. Post haste! That's why. Because I'm like, I want it to be like Edgar and Penny to have this moment, but it felt awkward putting them in the scene, so I wound up cutting that and just making it a end of scene thing. We fade to black. Rogo's sing dies down. In the silence, we hear the heavy breathing of Penny and Edgar. Come on, almost there. I'm trying. I'm just getting tired. You? Tired? Never. So close, so close. Thunk! Screen fades up. We see Penny and Edgar out of breath next to a giant keg they've just lifted up from the cellar. That is my one sex joke of the entire thing. Let it happen. It's weird, just massive keg. Penny, couldn't you brew this somewhere easier to get out of? The cellar has ideal brewing conditions for fire whiskey. Yeah, great, sure. Gods, I fought golems that were less effort than that. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate your permission. You big baby. You wouldn't know effort if you saw it. Sure. Want to take a little trip outside, so you have to run home first? Not right now. When it comes to practical combat, you have a bit of a leg up on me. Sure you're not thinking of last night? Well, Belle, if you're done flirting... Oh, hey, Annabelle. How long have you been standing there? Long enough for it to be weird. Edgar, it's only weird if you make it weird. Then I made it weird. Penny, do you have a second? I found something that might be important. Sure. Yeah. I need a breather anyway. You good from here, Ed? I'll figure something out. And we shift to outside where we see Annabelle and Penny leaning against the tavern. Annabelle has a book which she is showing Penny. What's up? Look at this. What am I reading here? Zyla's journal. Oh, wow. Where did you find it? Hidden with a box of potions. When nobody had any good ideas at the meeting last night, I decided to search the shop a little more thoroughly. Given the circumstances, it was fair to read this. Absolutely. Who knows what else she could be hiding. But that's the thing. I didn't find anything to hide. So why are you showing me? Because I didn't find anything. Look here. Penny, reading. Another survivor, another victory. I expected Penny to do well, but I could not have expected this much. I suspected Penny would do well, but I could not have expected this much success. I hope to see her again soon. I feel we have much to discuss. If you could go back, you see more entries like that for when each of us showed up. So, keep reading. Tragedy has struck today. Kite Righteous has fallen to his death. I suspect foul play, but I think I'll keep quiet for now. I'm curious to see how this unfolds. Didn't Zyla say she convinced Miles to join her? Penny has returned and is investigating the incident. I don't know who is behind it yet, but I admit my excitement to find out. Perhaps they'll be able to answer some important questions. And that's it. Zyla doesn't write anything else after that. So either she planned this journal to make herself look innocent, or she was lying, and she wasn't behind this after all. But why? Why confess to being behind this all if she wasn't? I don't know. But I couldn't think of anyone better to tell. Thank you, Annabelle. I should go have a little chat with your ex-employer. Screen fades. We are given control and command of the city, but for the most part, it's just like little things. Basically, just make you up to the gaping prison. I don't think there's any fun dialogue for examining other things. We see that we do see more guard patrols kind of going around. The guards have been ramped up within the city. We see Zyla and Miles in prison, each trying their best to be comfortable, each failing. Oh look, our nemesis returns. Hello, love. Come to celebrate your latest victory? Zyla, why did you lie to us? I wanted you to have your moment in the spotlight, love. You've gotten so good at unraveling these mysteries. Not about that. About this journal. Ah, found that, did you? I suppose it was only a matter of time. Zyla, you said you were behind this. You orchestrated the killing of Kite, all these incidents. Yes, I do recall saying that. Miles. Oh, is that not true? Does that mean the real orchestrator of all this is still out there? Miles, did Zyla recruit you to... Miles, I already told you, I'm not helping your investigations anymore. No, she's right. You got me, love. But I did make an easy target, didn't I? Why? Why is everyone being such a little shit? What's happening in this city? Come now, love. Surely you must have noticed. Noticed what? We get a nice close-up of Zyla sort of like leaning into the bars with Penny very close by. Miles is sort of in the background listening. Something is wrong here beyond just killing and vanishing priestesses. Hang on, we're going to do... that's phrase weird. Just vanishing priestesses and murder. There we go. Something has been wrong here for years. I had no leads, no idea of how to go about figuring it out. So when something finally started to happen, I simply wanted to forward it along, to learn the truth. Be honest, Penny. Are you the one behind this? I won't tell a soul. What? No! Zyla, what are you talking about? Acting as the investigator of your own mystery would be the perfect cover. Why would anyone suspect the woman trying to discover the truth? Enough! Zyla, what do you mean something is wrong? You've got to be more specific than that. I can't. I don't have anything more. But I do know one thing, which I'm sure you're beginning to realize. Whoever's behind all of this is still out there. By confessing to be that person, I was simply trying to buy them some time. In the distance, we hear a crashing sound, a muffled explosion, and Edgar bellowing, Penny! Everyone! The tavern! Quickly! Edgar? And it looks like I bought them just enough. Happy hunting, love. Music intensifies. We see... oh yes. Any theories on what's going on right now? Oh, well, hydrate. Don't mind if I do. Now's the time. If you guys want to call what is happening and to whom, now's the time to do it. God, I realized in writing that scene, I'm like, oh, I love the dynamic between Miles and Zyla, so there is absolutely an opportunity to talk to them in this mystery, because why not? Because, right? Well, the thing is, the two people who are currently in there are Zyla, who was already sort of a smooth talking witch, so she's gonna sound a little cliche, and Miles is literally like the weirdest, creepiest, evil for reasons we don't understand villain ever. So they're allowed to be cliche, and I love it. Okay. Uh, music intensifies. Penny runs down. We see a flash of screens of the stairs, the ground floor, the tavern. The trap door is open. The cellar? Footsteps, darkness, and huh? David. Captain! We see Penny, Joffrey, Edgar, Annabelle, and David in the cellar as they watch a twisting inferno of flame envelop the good Captain Grunt, who we know only by David's call and a faint silhouette. Grunt, I'm not going to do scream, I'm in a shared house, but screaming in this pillar of flame. Edgar, Joffrey, put him out! I can't! The curse! Belle, Gah! Belle shoots a spray of water at the fire, but it is evaporated immediately. Then, with one last scream that is cut off, there's a flash of light, a puff of smoke, the inferno is gone, and simultaneously Grunt dissolves, vanishes into thin air, leaving nothing but the scene of the crime and his helmet. We shift back onto a special screen into the crime scene from the special screen into the crime scene proper. Sorry. Edgar. What? Joffrey. The fuck? Annabelle. Was that? Sorry. Typo. Penny. Grunt. What happened to you? Act 3. Who guards the guards? Investigation start. There it is, folks. I'm so sorry, Red. We never even got his downtime events. Grunt actually only has one downtime event. Not because there's not time for it, but because of reasons you see during his first downtime event. It is very sad. We can't listen. We couldn't keep killing people. Well, I guess the only person I got rid of that no one cared about was the priestess, because you never get to know the priestess. I have regrets. All right, guys, it is 8:30. I've been doing this for, or it's 8:30 my time. Only an hour? Hell yeah. You know what that means? We're doing Act 3, baby. We're doing the whole Act 3, and we're doing it tonight. I'm going to take a 2-second bathroom break to go and just get myself ready, and we'll be right back. So hang out, watch this spot, and we will be back to figure out who killed the good Captain Grunt. See you soon. Thank you for the kind words, Lauren. And yes, the best captain. Now, before we dive into it, I want to hear a couple of theories, because as the game, much like in any murder mysteries, we get to know the characters better. It gets easier to call the farther it gets along. The first mystery, I would never expect anyone to guess. It's like, oh, it's probably this person. You couldn't guess, like, oh, Miles is kind of suspicious, and she's new to the town. Like, so there is that there. And Xyla, certainly you have no notion of the motive for until you realize the potions are involved. But as we get farther, I'm curious if anyone has any theories as to who did this and why. Questions which may or may not be answered tonight, but we'll see. I'm going to have a little bit of this cake while you guys are thinking that one over. My head is starting to hurt a little bit. Actually, I'm also going to grab, if I can remember where I put my Advil, I'm going to do that real quick. That's fair, Jake. One sec. I'll be right here. Okay, I have fully no memory of where I put my Advil. Oh wait, unless, hang on. One more. Got it. So quick reminder, not saying you should count Makara out, but remember Makara's thing's lightning, not fire. No, that's also what she said. That may not be true, but just in case that was the association you were drawing. If you believe demon, hell, fire, 100% a valid suspicion, I just want to make sure you know that what she said was lightning. Of course, why would you say the element would actually kill someone? Okay. Now, guys, really do watch this one with a critical eye, because this is a much shorter mystery, and I believe, honestly, a much simpler mystery than Act 2, and I don't know if that's okay. I think it is, but there are ways to make it more complicated, and ways to add more layers to it if you think it's too easy and you guys, like, get 2 seconds in and call everything. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, because I know it because I wrote it. Maybe it's not. But you'll see, I think you'll see what I mean. We're just going to dive in. Okay, before anything else happens, you're... Hang on. Yeah, before anything else happens, you are approached by Annabelle. Penny, I want to help with the investigation. Of course. You mean, like, look on your own, or... No, I want to stick with you. We can work together. Okay. Can I ask why now, all of a sudden? I think I already have an idea of some of the stuff that led to this, so I thought I could help. But besides, I'm just tired of being suspected for being new and a little quiet, so I want to help however I can. All right. I appreciate it. This doesn't mean you're not a suspect, though. Of course not. I understand. I'll stay close. Just tell me if you need anything. Got it. Thanks. Do you believe we can trust her, my lady? I hope so. We should be prepared for the worst. Absolutely. I shall remain vigilant and be prepared to fight should every person in the city turn on us and attempt to kill you directly. I guess that is our worst case scenario. And this leads directly to the questioning Annabelle. Like, questioning Annabelle is the first thing you have to do. Again, that's one of the things I could change, and that's honestly the main thing I could change if this is way too easy, is make Annabelle as uncooperative as ever. But it feels very in character for her to step in like this time, especially after how the last investigation went, where she really came under the knife. And I'm trying to be honest with the characters first and foremost. Mm-hmm. Oh, it does. That I cover for sure. It's great cake. But it is still a game more than just a story. It is coffee walnut cake, and it rules. So I want to make sure that it still feels like a game, not just like there's some grace towards the end where there's a lot of twists and turns where it really does become a lot of like, okay, we need to see the story now. But even that's nested in mystery. We'll see. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to stop making excuses for myself. I'm just going to see how you guys feel about it. So it jumps right into questioning Annabelle, so we have to do that before anything else. Alibi. Where were you at the time of Grunt's death? Here, in the tavern. I was waiting for you to come back from Zyla. Yeah. She admitted she wasn't the one behind all of this. Too little too late, I guess. Just to confirm, who else was with you? Grunt, Joffrey, Edgar, and David. Okay. Acquired alibis, Annabelle, Joffrey, Edgar, David. Clue. You said you had a clue already. What have you got for me? Well, to understand the clue, you need to know what happened. Yeah, that would be good. Everyone was just having a nice time. Edgar was pouring drinks. I decided to join in for once. But when Grunt took a sip of his drink, he just vanished. We heard a crash and then screaming from the cellar. He can't have just fallen through the floor. Actually, I think that's exactly what happened. And I think whoever did this is trying to frame me for it. How is that? My potion. I got it to work, sort of. The one that lets you walk through walls. But the problem, sorry, she should name it. Ghost form, right? The one that lets you walk through walls. Ghost form, right? But the problem was that it doesn't just work on walls. So when you drink it, you can fall into the ground. So I dumped it out. But if someone got a hold of it and put some in Grunt's drink, if it was only a drop, it would have lasted for a few seconds. Well, that does make sense. But let's keep looking into it. Acquired clue, falling ghost potion. Which, Lauren, I don't know if you're still lurking, is a delightful little shout out to a potion I've used in D&D before. That's totally fair. Nonetheless, if you are not a fan of mystery and puzzle games and you're enjoying this, Griffin, again, that is highly a huge compliment. Next thing to talk about is Inferno. What about the fire? What could have caused that? I don't know. But with all the alcohol down here, it wouldn't have taken more than a spark. I was just here. If there had been anything that could start a fire, I feel like I would have seen it. And what about why it went out so suddenly? No idea. But it did seem like magic again. Yeah. Acquired clue, Inferno. This is basically gathering a list of starting clues, which you can then talk to everyone about. Again, it would make it much more complicated if she... I'm going to stop. I need to stop. I'm just going to keep reading. Vanishing body. I don't get it. What happened to Grunt's body? I don't know. Maybe it burned up? You'd think that would have at least left some bones. Acquired clue, vanishing body. And then that's all for now, which you only appears after you discuss everything else, because it's the only time you get to talk to Annabelle through the entire mystery. At least that isn't prompted by other things. Well, I guess we have to do some more digging before we find any answers. Stick close and keep your eyes peeled. Got it. I'll be right here. An interesting theory. Terminus magic could be a thing. I guess we'll find out. So you can question the people or examine the cellar. Let's look. I'm gonna do what Josh would do playing the game. I don't remember exactly how it all shakes out. Okay, no, hang on. We've had a question about the floor, so let's get into that first. Scorched floor. That is a thing you can examine. Good thing this building is on the first floor. If we were higher up, the whole thing may have come down. See anything in the ashes? There's not much in the way of ashes. There's not much in the way of anything. Yes, the floor is burnt at the center where we saw Grunt burning. Good question. Let's finish examining the room. We're examining everything in the room. Let's look at the broken crate. Because there's a broken... sorry. I'm bad at describing everything we're seeing. So other things we see in this room, there is a crate in the corner, which we would have seen in the last time we were here, which has been smashed to bits. There are shelves full of wine, which we also saw last time, brewing barrels, and Grunt's helmet, of course. So let's start with broken crate. That crate got it pretty bad, even though it was a little ways from here. It's in the corner, even though it was a little ways from the fire. Huh. Hey, Belle. She was Annabelle. Hey, Annabelle. Go upstairs and point out where Grunt was sitting when he fell. Sure. Eli, follow Annabelle, stab through the floorboards wherever she points. Edgar. Hey. Eli. Right away, my lady. Edgar. Penny, really? There's no easier way to check this theory? Relax, you big baby. David knows simple repair magic. He can fix it later. Right, David? David, fully vacant, just like staring ahead. David? Right. Poor little guy's pretty rattled. Well, he and Grunt were close. Shing! We see an image of Eleazar sticking through the floorboards, pointing down at the broken crate. Pointing at the broken crate. Thought so. So, Grunt fell onto the crate. That's a good place to start. Acquired clue, crash landing. Yes, it is suspicious, isn't it? Wine shelves. Shelves full of wine. They don't look like they've been touched. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Huh? Look, some of the seals have been broken. You're right. Good eye, and it looks like... Yeah, those bottles seem to have been emptied. Acquired clue, empty bottles. Brewing barrels. Edgar, what's in those barrels over there? Some more of the brews I'm working on. Some of the best stuff ages for years. If I crack one open, do I ruin the drink? No, the fermenting process is pretty foolproof. It should be fine. We hear creaking, and we just see a barrel full of some sort of whiskey. Untouched and smells fantastic. Hey, everyone's got a drink of choice. I should make sure that this is sarcasm. She does not like whiskey. Acquired clue, brewing barrels. We already looked at the scorched floor, and finally Grunt's helmet. All that's left of him. He loved that helmet. Couldn't hurt to bring it with, just in case. Acquired clue, Grunt's helmet. Again. All right. Now, all that's left to do in the cellar is question everyone here. I can probably just chug ahead in order, but if there's anyone, again, as usual, if you ever want to be like, talk to this person now, I want to have to say, like, if you want to take charge at all, especially while I'm like taking sips of my soda or water, now would be the time to do that. Edgar, then David. That's the order it's written in the script. And that leaves Joffrey, who's also next after that. So, great. You're making it easy for me. Fuck, Edgar. I don't even know where to start. You shouldn't have to, sweetheart. Nobody should. This is insane. And nobody should have to shoulder whatever it is. Yeah, but I do. We do. We can't let this keep happening. I thought it was done. Did Zyla do this from prison somehow? No, I think she was lying about being in charge. We'll get into it later. For now, yes. Yeah. And then the list of things you can talk to Edgar about. I'm not going to go through the entire list. I'm just going to, I think it's pretty much all here, everything we can do. That is not mentioned, but now I want it to be. The helmet will be warm to the touch, but it's not like scalding, which you are right. If this had like fully dissolved Grunt's body, that absolutely should have been scalding. So let's do that. That might be a secret clue for only if you do it before you talk to anyone, because when you talk, people will have time to cool down. All right, let's talk about alibi first. Oh, excuse me. That's what I get for taking a sip of soda. Ugh. So, you were in the bar when this happened? Yeah, in the middle of pouring Joffrey a drink. Grunt was never one to wait for a toast, so he just... Yeah, I got it. Drink of choice. What was Grunt drinking? Fire whiskey, like always. From the same barrel of fire whiskey that we just hauled upstairs 10 minutes ago? That's the one. Great. That's not suspicious at all. Did anyone else have some? Nobody ever does. I brewed this stuff just for him. Acquired clue, fire whiskey. Cellar status. Did you notice anything out of place in the cellar when we were down here earlier? Not really, but I guess I wasn't looking. Still, nothing so obvious that it stood out. Though... The boxes of cooking supplies in the corner. You know, the ones that are smashed now? I keep them covered with a blanket to help stave off dust. Anything could have been under there, and we'd never have known. Then we should take a closer look. Cut to the crash landing site, where we see broken and bent pots and pans and such kind of rampant, as well as scraps of burned cloth. Fire whiskey is a drink I've used in my games, but also the irony is very real. Now, my memory isn't perfect, but I know I didn't leave it like this. It got all scattered in the commotion, and it looks like a lot of it's bent or broken, too. Not just that. Look at this fabric. Towels, pan holders, all burned up. So the fire was here, too. Acquired clue, burned supplies. Acquired clue, covered crate. Do you see anything that wasn't here before? Actually, yes I do. There. Close up, we see some, finely smashed, pieces of glass. Is that another potion bottle? Gone are the classy days of murder, knives in the dark and whatnot. Now it's all potions and fireballs. What is this world coming to? Acquired clue, broken glass, ... again. Inferno. Any idea what could start a fire that fast? Or end it, for that matter? Actually, yes to both. Oh, wow, that's convenient. Starting the fire is likely alcohol. There's no shortage of it down here. Right. And ending it, if you've looked around my kitchen before, you may remember that Joffrey made me a fire suppressor, which we did talk about last mystery. There's different dialogue if you looked at it or not, because you don't have to look into it. The magic rock that puts out nearby fires when it gets too hot. Would it have picked up the heat from the cellar? With a blaze like what we just saw? Almost certainly. Acquired clue, fire suppressor. Acquired clue, alcohol fire. Again, as the theories come, as you start figuring things out, I want to hear it. And if you don't, that's a sign that this mystery is not too simple after all. Vanishing body. Any idea where the body may have gotten to? Your guess is as good as mine, sweetheart. Empty wine bottles. Edgar, we noticed some of the wine bottles were emptied. Huh? Let me see. Oh no. What? This is bad. This is really, really bad. What is it? What's wrong? Some of the bottles they emptied were wine that I made myself, but some of them were really rare bottles I saved from before the world ended. Okay, it sucks, but let's try to have some perspective. I am rapidly losing everything I hold dear to me, Penny. Don't tell me to have perspective. Okay, gods. Whoever the killer is clearly has no understanding of the finer things in this world, or else they would never have wasted rare wine like that. Updated clue, empty wine bottles. Oh, Edgar. You can talk to him about the falling ghost potion, since we had that as well. Annabelle thinks the potion she was working on might have dropped through the floor when he drank it. And we're trusting her because she's giving us information we would have found out anyway? What do you mean? I mean, it's her potion. Are we sure she's not behind this? Hey, I'm trying to help. No, we're not sure, but nonetheless, someone must have poisoned Grunt's drink. Did you see anything? No way. After the poison juice incident, I've been watching all of my drinks, ingredients, food I make, everything. I would have noticed if there was something in the glass. I have not updated the characters to reflect Grunt's death yet, obviously. That's all for now. That's all we can ask him about. So let's move on to David. Hope you're all ready to cry. Hey, David, got a sec? David just fully vacant. David, you all right? Hey, it's okay. Why don't you sit down? ... We hear shuffling and then, I meant to go. David, do you really want to stay down here? I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. Buddy. That's all the dialogue you get with David in this mystery. That's it. If you try to talk to him again, you get internally, David and Grunt were close. I think the poor guy's finally been pushed past his limit. Yes. So, fun fact, you can't get downtime with David after this mystery. Because, boy oh boy, yep, you're not supposed to be okay. Okay. And then questioning Joffrey. Wait, what's now? Oh. Do you have a question? Okay. You think of the question. I'm going to start reading Joffrey's dialogue. Oh, okay. No, you have the question. I'll take a second to get a sip of water. Oh, I see. Yeah, then refrain then. Because if it's something you have heard or do know, then I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who has not heard or does not know. Because this is not something that's known in game, I'm not going to tell you. Whether it's a spoiler or not, I'm not going to get into David's psyche because that is something we explore. That's fair. Yeah, we don't really see it. Originally, my intention had been to have Grunt be in the bar most of the time with David. I think I can. I think I should actually. Yeah, let's hang on. That is something because Grunt is not actually super well established as a character, now that I'm really thinking about it. And I feel like I should have more scenes with him and David, because they have a similar energy in the town. And I don't think it really comes out a lot, because Grunt really only shows his face in mysteries. I'm going to work on that. Thank you. Let's talk to Joffrey. Joffrey, what the hell? I know you can extinguish fires. It's this... I can't. Not anymore. What do you mean? It's the curse. I couldn't do anything. Since when does the curse say you can't save your friend's life? Since the priest has vanished, okay? Now that the barrier's down, we're all in danger all the time. Protecting people who are in danger from the outside world is like adventuring 101. He wasn't in danger from the outside world. He was on fire. Yeah, I fucking realized that, but I couldn't do anything. You think I didn't try? I don't get to choose how the curse works, Penny. It's all loopholes and arcane bullshit, and I wanted to save Grunt's life, but I fucking couldn't. Dot dot dot. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. We can both be sorry. Apologies are mutually exclusive. Yeah, I guess. So now what? What else? We find out who or what did this. Um, Guys, as I did realize I was writing, I'm like, wow, as everyone starts to die, everyone gets really sad. It's almost like we care about these characters. Um, all right, alibi. So you were here in the bar and everything went down? Yeah, just taking a little social time, you know? All right, yeah. Don't know what I expected. Curse. So, why would the curse prevent you from putting out Grunt? This wasn't an outside related incident. I don't know. But I know I tried, and I couldn't bring myself to do it, and that's how the curse works. Are you sure you didn't just freeze up? Penny, I have seen nations rise and fall. I have fought dragons and devils alike. I have been betrayed, tortured, and even killed once. I don't freeze. Killed? It didn't stick, obviously. Long story for another time. Acquired clue, adventure curse. Inferno. Yep. That casually dropped in there. What do you think could make a fire like that? Oh, loads of stuff. I can start fires like that with a snap of my fingers. Dragons can breathe twice that. Anyone can start a big old blaze if they're determined enough. Helpful. Hang on. Penny doesn't respond to that, but I want her to. Vanishing body. What do you think happened to the body? Same thing that happened to the priestess, I bet. What, a terminus spell? Teleported him away? Oh, right. No, I guess teleporting away when you're fully on fire doesn't make sense. Plus, what spell would even have ended? But magic could be behind it. Magic can be behind anything, bud. It's magic. There's nothing it can't do. For what it's worth, I just don't think you did this. All right, cool. Your approval is really lifting my spirits in these trying times. Nah. Wonder if that's a thing. I don't actually know what part you're referring to when you say that. Oh, you mean him being killed but it not sticking? Good question. Is it a thing? Oh, Dragonfire being hotter, being a thing. Good question. Is it a thing? Um, empty wine bottles. Some of the wine bottles seem to have been emptied. Do you know anything about that? Nah, Edgar keeps a pretty close eye on his stuff. Either he's behind it or someone else has been very sneaky at night. Though, taking a look, I do see something else weird about them. What's that? Looks like they left the top shelf alone. Maybe they were trying to preserve the good stuff? No, Edgar says they took some of the rare bottles. Huh. Maybe a coincidence then. Hang on. I want Penny to get her line of nothing ever seems to be. Nothing ever seems to be. Acquired clue, top shelf. Falling ghost potion. Annabelle says the reason Grunt fell through the floor is because of the experimental potion she was working on. The ghost form potion. A drop would have only lasted a few seconds. Does that track, magically speaking? I mean, sure. Alchemy is my wheelhouse, but it's certainly possible. All right. How's it going, Annabelle? Fine. Why? Nothing. You made that potion, huh? Hey, I'm just trying to help because I know I look suspicious. Then you should have been helping the last two cases, too. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's all for now. Let me know if you need anything. I'll be in the tavern, sulking. All right. The tavern. When you head upstairs to the tavern, Joffrey has come up as well. You can't, if you try to go up before you talk to everyone, you get dialogue that basically says you can't. If you try to examine the kitchen, you get everything looks in order here. I don't think I'm going to find any clues in the kitchen. There is a shot glass on the ground. There is the keg of fire whiskey you brought up, and Roga and Xeris have now arrived in the tavern. Shot glass. Grunt's shot glass. Not a drop left. Acquired clue, grunt shot glass. Keg of fire whiskey. This is the keg we brought up earlier. I wonder. Annabelle, you said the ghost potion is safe as long as it's only a drop and there's not far to fall, right? I mean, yeah, but it's still pretty... What are you... We hear a drink being poured. This is gonna suck. This one's for you, Captain. Wait! Gulp. Whoosh! Penny falls through the floor and hits the cellar with a thud. God, this stuff is vile. Penny! Belle rushes down. What were you thinking? If that had... It's fine. Now we know that the keg was poisoned, not the glass. That was incredibly reckless. I live my life recklessly. How much potion would it take to poison a keg? Probably just one bottle, if they only needed a little bit. Well, that answers that then. Acquired clue, poisoned keg. Yeah, no, at this point I'm like... And I think this is the reason this mystery feels a little more straightforward, is because everyone is like, I'm so over it. Everyone's trying to help. Penny's done messing. Like, Penny's just like, can we please? Everyone has an air of like, oh my God, can we please just be done? Because that's what it would feel like. I'm just trying to be like, well, how would these characters think, act, and feel during the situation? And I write whatever comes out honestly, and this is what came out. Questioning Xeris. Joffrey told me what happened. I thought we were done with all of this. Apparently not. I got Zyla to admit she's not the one behind all of it after all. Everything. After all. Then why are so many people just going along with it? I don't know. But I'm going to find out. Alright. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad it feels authentic. Where were you a few minutes ago when this happened? Up in the manor, having lunch with Xeris and Olive. Sorry, Nyren and Olive. You're Xeris. With Nyren and Olive. They're still there, but I can fill them in when I go back. Alright, thanks. Acquired alibi, Xeris, Olive, and Nyren. Inferno. The fire was incredibly intense and apparently came on quickly. Do you have any idea what could cause that? I mean, there are monsters with fire powers, but otherwise, magic springs to mind. Yeah, I had considered that too. Hang on. Excuse me. That should not be there. Acquired clue, monster. Vanishing body. You know all about disappearing. Any idea how a body could vanish from under our noses? I'm afraid not. Unless there's another trapdoor that leads to another deeper cellar. No, I don't think so. You can talk. Oh, can't do this one yet. It's only... Okay. Empty wine bottles. It seems like a lot of the wine bottles were emptied in Xeris' cellar. You haven't been sneaking around for a late-night drink, have you? Not sneaking. All of my late-night drinks are sanctioned by Edgar himself. And that's all for now. Sorry I couldn't be more help. I'll be up at the manor if you need me. And he vanishes to the manor. Questioning Rogo. As usual, I can't shout. I can't... Guys, when I get a recording studio, because I'm going to rent a recording studio for this, having Rogo actually just scream is going to be delightful. The captain is dead! The priestess is gone! All is darkness and doom! There is no hope left! So you heard. Yes! Yes! Joffrey filled me in. Alibi. Where were you a few minutes ago during the incident? Walking! Walking around the city. Can anyone confirm this? I am once again without an alibi. Will I ever have an easy time clearing my name? It's almost like people don't want to hang out with someone who screams all the time, and that's all internal. Wonder if the covered cage that fire monster hit. Well, interesting. Maybe. Hey, we can go look at that. Zyla's in prison. Actually, there is an instance, I forgot about this. You can look in the covered cage in the second act if you talk to Annabelle before Zyla gets there and pique her curiosity. You can actually convince her to let you look under the covered cage, so you can actually know what's in there already. I didn't do that though, so we're gonna find out in this mystery. But know that like it can be a big secret. It doesn't have to be. It's a little Easter egg if you can get in there earlier, which also leads to very funny dialogue because you get it as a clue and you can try to combine it with every other clue. There's specific dialogue for every clue combination of whatever's in the cage. But I digress. Do you have any idea what could cause an intense fire to spring up out of nowhere? Monsters! Have you seen monsters do that? Probably! All right then. Vanishing body. Do you have any idea what could have caused Grunt to vanish before our eyes. We all vanish in the end! That's depressing, but I meant literally. So did I think. Do you? Do you think that when we die, we just disappear? Maybe! You can't prove we don't! We've seen 2 dead bodies over the course of the last week. You can prove that we don't. This mystery is when I started to like Rogo. I also love his downtime event, which I will have to do for you guys at some point. Um, you've been helpful as ever, Rogo. I helped Penny solve the case. I didn't say that. And that's the end of Rogo dialogue. Oh, my back. It turns out dragging like 70 pounds of luggage 2.5 miles does a number on me. Okay. So, where do you guys want to go next? That's everyone in the tavern. Places to go with things to look at. We can look at that covered cage, Red, if you want to look at the covered cage, because we can go to Zyla's shop. We can also go to the Gaping Prison if you want to talk to Miles or Zyla. We can go to... Okay, we're going to the cage. Great, let's do it. Oh my god. Woo, burpee, burpee, burpee. Excuse me, everyone. In Zyla's shop, we see everything as it was, but with a little less clutter. The cage is still present. The magical clutter is much thinner and more organized. There are now neat shelves full of potions. And the back room can be gone into, but all there is to check there is a cauldron, which now has a pale blue coating around it instead of being clean. Ooh, I need to change something. It's full of a pale blue liquid. Annabelle said she dumped it. It should be was planning on dumping it because obviously it's still present. When you first go in, you get, wow, you've really cleaned the place up. Zyla never let me touch her stuff, but the mess drove me nuts. So now that she's in prison... All right, let's take a look around. While you do, I'm going to look through the potions, see if I can find anything missing. Yeah, go ahead. Let's look at the cage. Hey, did you figure out what was in that cage? I never got the courage to check. Well, now's as good a time as any. Ready? Any theories on what we're going to see in the cage? The screen shifts. We see the cage with a sheet on it, and we see it pulled off. Inside the cage, we see a tiny, disembodied Cyclops head. It has little bug wings, a big eye, and a mouth with several crooked teeth about the size of a baseball, and it's biting down on the bars of the cage, which are covered in tooth marks. There's like a scrap of like some sort of red, just something within its teeth. What is that thing? I have no idea. Hey there, little guy. Yeah, me too, buddy. Did it bite someone? Huh? There's some blood or something in its teeth. We zoom in and we see that on... I don't think that's blood. It looks more like a piece of fabric. Can you check? That's going to be a no. We shift back. Acquired a clue. Hungry, hungry head. So stupid. I forgot that was the name of the clue. You don't like it? He's my favorite boy. He's a very good boy. He's a very good head. A very good disembodied bugwing with a miniature Cyclops head. I love him. Guys, I'm going to be honest. When I wrote him into the game, I knew that was what was in the cage. And I wrote him into the second act as like an Easter egg, as a joke. And I didn't realize until I got Act 3, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a clue, isn't it? I didn't, and it was unintentionally like foreshadowed as a thing which can be a clue, but ugh. Okay, looking at the magical clutter, it really does look a lot better in here. I always got the feeling Zyla was hiding something behind all of the nonsense. Thanks. I'm trying my best. Shelves of potions. That's a lot of potions. We've always had that many. I just wanted to organize them in a way I could find them easily. Good idea. So were any of them missing? Yeah. Here. It's a little one. I don't know what it does. But there were 3 of them. Now there's only 2. So Zyla made them. Can we find out what they do? It depends. How stupid are you feeling? Hand it over. Careful. Gulp. Oh, God, that's foul. What is that? Here, quick, drink this. Okay, okay. Ugh. Okay, that's better. What was that one? Syrup of ipecac? Huh? Immediate vomiting. Makes you vomit. Sorry. No, it's probably for the best. But other than the taste, nothing happened. Good thing we have one more. There's two kinds of potions. The kind you drink and the kind you break. Couldn't we have led with the other one? You said hand it over. I did. Okay, it doesn't matter now. Just stand back. Let's throw it down at the empty cauldron. Sure. We hear glass breaking and momentary spark of flame. Fire. Just a little bit. This must have been a torchlight potion, meant for quickly igniting flammable things. Well, call me crazy, but I think this may have something to do with our investigation. Truly the greatest mind of our time. Acquired clue, torchlight potion. Yeah, I guess it became a running gag that this Penny is drinking all the evidence, so. I had a lot of fun writing this game. I really did. And I'm remembering, because I wrote in such a rush that I'm like, was this part good? And I keep forgetting that these parts exist. So I'm really just having a very good time just rereading this, which I think is a good sign. If you look in the cauldron in the back, you get, what's this? My ghost form potion. I didn't get a chance to toss it yet. I'm really glad you're enjoying. Considering it's a graphic novel, a visual novel, the dialogue has to be good or else it's not going to be fun. Got it. Can you tell if any is missing? Not really. It only would have had to be a little bit anyway. Right. Though it being out in the open does make it seem likely. Yeah. And that's all for Zyla's shop. So we can go to Joffrey's shop, though Joffrey is not there. That's how you can get to Makara, though, if you want to talk to Makara in this investigation. We can go to the Noble's Manor to talk to Nyrin or Olive. We can go to the Gaping Prison to talk to Miles or Zyla. And and we can go to find Cal. If you check your magical map, Cal is in the residential area. He has not shown his face yet, so those are the things we can do. So where we headed? Red, since you were kind of our active player, or if anyone else wants to chime in, where next? Town Hall, Joffrey's shop, Cal, prison, then prison. Okay, prison, then Cal. Great. Okay, so let's start with prison. Woo! Excuse me. If you try to question Miles, you just get, I know Miles isn't going to be any help. I don't see the point in trying. No dialogue there, but talking to Zyla, I don't suppose you'd be willing to help with the investigation, would you, Zyla? I would love, truly, but I have no idea what happened. I've been locked in this prison, you see, which is clearly doing so much to help keep the city safe. Didn't think so. Don't you find it strange that nothing from the outside world has found its way in yet? What do you mean? I mean, maybe it did. All right, I'm going now. Happy hunting. And that is acquired or updated clue monster. Further times you just get Zyla isn't going to be any help at all. 'Tis a shame. I always thought rather highly of her prior to this point. And alright, you said Cal next. So, oh god, hang on, I need to check something really quick. Got it. Okay. You go to welcome to the meat of the mystery, baby. Something that I even didn't know when I was writing it, but it's perfect. When you examine the residential area, I guess Cal's taking the day at home. Let's see. Hello? Cal? Door creaks open. Nobody home. Come to think of it, I haven't seen Cal all day. My map shows that he's up here. You have a magic map? Huh? Oh, yeah. I have all sorts of useful magical gear that I got from the outside world. That's really cool. Yeah, and speaking of magic gear, Eli, can you take a quick sweep around the houses and figure out where Cal is? Right away, my lady! You said he can talk, right? To his wielder? Yeah, I've gotten used to him as company. He's actually been pretty quiet this investigation. Why? Maybe he's jealous that I got a partner. I didn't mean to. Relax, I'm kidding. Eli doesn't get jealous. He's loyal to a fault, and he's probably thrilled that you're lending a hand. Anyone who does a good turn by me does a good turn by Eli. Oh, all right, good. I've located the house Cal resides in. Would you care to follow me to the destination? Sure thing. Hey, Eli, what do you think of Annabelle? I think it is mightily suspicious that she offered to aid you in the investigation. Pardon my relative silence. I've been keeping a most watchful eye on her for the duration of this mystery. What did he say? Oh, all good things. We fade to a slightly different house. That was literally me realizing, like, you do miss the Penny Eli dynamic of investigations because there's a new partner in. And I think it's a beautiful change. I think it's a really nice difference after two mysteries to have a different voice talking to Penny. But I had to would Eli really be this quiet? And the thing is, he's very polite. There's other people talking. He doesn't really chime in. He doesn't get involved because he knows people can't hear him. So he doesn't want to have Penny have to divide her attention. But it was nice to kind of put that little moment in. Hey, Cal, you all right in there? Get! Excuse me? Go on, get! Get out of here, monster! Cal, it's me, Penny. Nice try. You ain't gonna get the best of me, monster. I got a big sword and a bigger, magic spatula. You try to come in here, I'm gonna get you. Cal, did you see a monster in the city? Wouldn't you like to know? Yes, that's why I asked. Want me to burn the door down? No, he'll never cooperate if we use force. Let's see if we can't get him to trust us from out here. Suit yourself. You always were good at that. All right, and now we get to talk to Cal. This is a huge trust up, trust down situation. So we're just going to go for it. I'm just going to read through all the options first, because you can always go back and redo it later. Monster. What monster do you see? You should know, monster. It was you! Like you said, he's not going to talk until he trusts us more. What can I do to convince you I'm not the monster? Nothing. Anything you say will make you seem like less of... anything you say to make you seem like less of a monster actually just proves you're a monster. That doesn't make any sense. Well, all right then. If you're not a monster, you better be able to explain what all happened. That I can do. Falling ghost potion. Grunt fell through the floor, but we figured out that was from a potion that Annabelle made. Maybe. Or maybe monsters can make potions too. Trust up. Inferno. Grunt died in a sudden and powerful fire, which is why we're trying to figure out. Oh, a sudden fire, eh? Sounds like something a monster would do. Trust down. Alcohol fire. Remember that fire I told you about? We're pretty sure it was caused by alcohol. Monster alcohol? No, just alcohol. Trust up. Vanishing body. Grunt's body vanished after it was burned, so we think the magic probably... Vanishing bodies, you say? You say to magic, I say to monster. Belle, how do you deal with this so often? He's not usually this bad. There's I forgot I put this one in here. I might take it out. No, it's worth mentioning. Evening. Hello, Vintage Tea. Do you want me to call you Vintage, call you Tea? Let me know whatever you would like to be called, and how you found me, and or if I know you. I don't know, but welcome. We're deep in the middle of a murder mystery, so it's not going to make a lot of sense, but you are welcome among us, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes, that is another friendship that I like all of the characters. Carpenter, hello! Welcome to the stream. I was wondering if you were to stop by. Good to have you here. Again, we're deep in the middle of it all, so it's going to be very hard to follow, but I'm just going to really quick drop this in the chat. If there's anyone you want to know about, you can type !1 of their names. It'll tell you more about them. And we got a recap, and that should at least get you started. It's going to be hard to follow. The latest thing that happened, so you know what's happening right now, is Captain Grunt died in a blazing inferno, and you were working with Annabelle to figure out why. I know you don't know who those people are yet, but Hopefully we'll get it through context. If not, thanks for stopping by regardless. I really appreciate having you here. For those who don't know, Carpenter is a lovely person who I met in Sheffield, who I've very much enjoyed getting to know. I'm very grateful to have met them. So I'm going to get back to it. Okay, so if you talk about flash of light is the thing you can talk about, because I mentioned there was like a little flash of light when Grunt died. When Grunt died, there was a flash of light. Does that sound particularly monstrous to you? You bet it does. Monsters have all sorts of flashy doohickeys. Trust down. Empty bottles. Yes. Remember how there was a sudden blaze, the alcohol fire? Well, we also found a bunch of empty wine bottles. Someone probably used the wine from the bottles to set a trap. Sounds like monster plots at work. No, it sounds like people plots at work. Maybe. Trust up. Broken glass, ... again. We found broken glass at the scenes. That probably means there was another potion use. Potion schmotion! Any old monster can break a little glass. Trust down. Like I said, this is the first time Cal actually gets really involved in the mystery, which I think is a really nice twist. Not twist, but a nice change. Torchlight potion. We found out there was something used called a torchlight potion. It starts a fire quickly, so it could have looked like a monster, but it was actually just some simple magic. Or it was a monster using simple magic. Trust up nonetheless. Fire suppressor. When the fire was roaring, it was magically extinguished by Joffrey's invention. Could a monster's fire go out so easily? That may be the first good point you made this whole time. And that's all for now. You can, okay, I'll come back when I can prove that there wasn't a monster. So you'll never come back? If only I were that lucky. We might need to keep digging. I bet if we find some more evidence, we can convince him to open the door. All right, so you can go through the whole conversation. There's 5 trust ups available to us right now, and it is not enough. We need more evidence. This is, again, this is the biggest, like, bar in this mystery, and I forgot it was here. I take back what I said about this mystery being simple. I like it. I have stopped not liking it. Thank you very much. You said manor next, right? For where we're exploring. And Carpenter, no worries. I really appreciate you stopping by. I really appreciate you saying hi. And I hope you enjoyed the very little bit of time you were able to hang around. You're always welcome to come and go as you please, of course. All right, let's head to the manor. If I can find where I put the manor. The town hall, right? That's why I couldn't find it, 'cause it's called town hall, not manor. So when you go to the town hall, you can examine the storage closet, which you can do in the previous mysteries as well and reveal nothing. But this time, nothing out of the ordinary here, unless we see inside the storage cabinet a big crumpled red velvet sheet, some boxes, some farming tools. It's brooms. I forgot I changed that. Some brooms. Actually, something does look different. We see a flashback to how the storage cabinet was in past mysteries. It's the same, but that crumpled red sheet is neatly folded. So that sheet was there, but it has clearly been used. What is it? That red sheet seems to have been used, but it wasn't folded up properly. Is that relevant? It might be. Acquired clue, red sheet. And now you can knock on the door. It's the only thing you can do. Xeris opens up. Hey, how can I help? And you can ask him to either, I believe, just ends there? Hello? Hang on. I'm missing an option. How can I help? I straight don't put in... I don't have the options written down there. Oh, yes, no, yes I do. It's poorly, hang on. I didn't direct it right. Is there a rip or tear in the sheet? Let's take a pause and examine the sheet, shall we? Um, if I can remember where I put the clues. Let's take a look at the red sheet. The red velvet, the red velvet sheet that's always in the storage cabinet seems to have been used. I should ask around and see if anyone knows why. Um, that said, yes, I'm going to tell you right now there is. And knowing that that instinct was there, if you find the other one first, I would actually like that to be. You discover it in another way. There's another way to discover it than just examining it, because examining the red sheet, examining clues is not really a mechanic I rely on too much. It's usually just a reference. But I do want that to be a reward, so I'm going to add that in. So that you can still get it another way, which I will tell you how we get it that way, but you can reveal the tear. So very good call. Thank you for that that little nudge. Um, if anyone has any theories about who it is, mostly Red, because Red you seems to be the main player right now. Obviously, if anyone else is still watching and wants to chime in, always more than welcome. But for now, yeah, I've really arranged this poorly. But you can now questions that you can now ask Xeris about. Did I seriously not do that? I did. I'm so glad I'm doing this because I missed these two dialogue options. 1 second. I'm giving me like 2 seconds to write. Unless. Oh, is she just in the town hall? Hang on. She's just in the town hall. You don't. Okay, hang on. I just didn't write descriptions. 1 sec. Sorry. Thank you guys. It's the biggest like fully not present thing I've found since I've started this. Um, okay, so the only other thing you can do is if you knock, you can talk to Xeris again. You can ask about Olive now, which I want to do really quick because there's an option that appears, but only when you're in the town hall. Oh, and the red sheet because we're gonna need to ask everyone about the red sheet before the end, so I might as well do that now. Red sheet. I noticed the red sheet in the storage cabinet seems to have been disturbed. You didn't use it for anything, did you? That old thing? No, I haven't seen it for quite some time. Just checking. Updated clue red sheet. And then if you ask about Olive, Xeris, can I talk to Olive? That won't be necessary. And why is that? Because their alibi is good. They were with Nyron and I. They're taking a quiet day drawing in the room, and I'd appreciate it if they weren't bothered. Do they ever have a day that isn't quiet? You have no idea. The direction I wrote here is tired parent. Um, okay, now we can go question Nyron. Thank you for your patience as I touch things up. Lord Xeris told me what happened. Gods, there is no end to this madness. 1 second. Gods, there is no end to the madness. How can I help? Where were you a little bit ago when the incident happened? I was sharing a meal with Olive and Xeris when we heard the commotion. Got it? And then it updates those, just kind of corroborates those alibis. Um, Inferno, do you have any idea what could cause a blaze like that? I hate to bring up a point of contention, but have we considered Joffrey? His magic is strong enough to do that, but I don't know why he would. Motive is your job to discover, Penelope. I'm glad we've all just accepted that investigating is my thing now. It's a wonder the killer hasn't gotten you out of the way. Surely we'd never solve these cases if that happened. I don't like Ghana. It hasn't targeted you. It's a wonder the killer hasn't targeted you. Surely we'd never solve the cases if that happened. A little tongue-in-cheek there, but okay. Vanishing body. Any idea what can make a body vanish like that? In a sense. In a sense? Was there a flash of light, perhaps, as the body vanished? I mean, there was a roaring flame, so it was hard to tell, but I think so, yeah. My memories are still foggy, but I do seem to recall a flash of light before the priestess vanished as well. Huh. But if she teleported to safety, then where did Grunt teleport to? And why if he was already about to die? I'm afraid I don't know. I'm simply speculating. Well, I appreciate it. Acquired clue, flash of light. It does require a clue to get that for Cal. Hang on, I need to make a note. Thank you. Olive. Can I speak to Olive, please? I truly don't think that's a good idea. Why not? Olive has always had a propensity for the macabre. I think I've been worried about them in recent days. If they continue to become exposed to incidents like this, I worry what may happen to them, mentally and emotionally. But if they can help us get to the truth, they can't. They are a child. We were eating lunch. What could they tell you that Xeris and I couldn't? All right, fair enough. Empty wine bottles. You haven't been stealing any wine from the cellar, have you? You say stealing as if it isn't as if it isn't free for all to take, but no. Edgar brings us wine when we request it. I have no need to go snooping around in dusty cellars. I noticed the red sheet in the storage cabinet seems to have been disturbed. You didn't use it for anything, did you? Not recently. That was Olive's child bed sheet. When Joffrey summoned them up a bigger bed, we needed it replaced, but Xeris insisted upon keeping it for sentimental reasons. I don't know why it would have been used for anything, though. Interesting. Updated clue, red sheet. That's all for now. For what I can only hope is the final time, good luck, Penelope. Okay. I think that's everything except for checking in about the red sheet. I'm going to save a little bit of time. I don't think anyone else knows about the red sheet. I think all the info we needed to get from it, we got via Nyren. I think Nyren's the one we get the important clue from. Which means we now can go onto the combining clues phase. Oh, sorry. First, we would get the dialogue for the torn sheet because we already would have had it because you examined the clue. But let me go ahead and read that now anyway. Yes, suspicious. Please hold. Whenever I try to search for anything in the document, it takes roughly 1,000 years because there's 600 plus pages. So it's time for another bite of cake. It is still not responding. I may need to close and reopen it. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Thank you for the pats. It definitely helped. Nobody seems to know who used the sheet. This happens automatically when you get everything. And it will be different now if you already have the terror thing. But nobody seems to know who used the sheet. So that means it was Grunt or somebody's lying to us. Well, what else is new? Can you unfold it for me so we can take a closer look? Yeah, good idea. Hey, look there. It's torn? Just a little bit. Whoever used it must not have been too careful. We should keep our eyes peeled. Updated clue, red sheet. And, as I'm sure you want to do now, we are going to combine red sheet and, or torn red sheet, as it's now called, torn red sheet with hungry, hungry head, because you called that from a mile away, which I appreciate. I want players to call some things. Why are these in this area? These should be in another area. Sorry, as I reorganize. Just doing some reorganizing. All right, we're better. Um, well, it's funny you should ask. Hey, that fleck of red in the head's mouth. Do you think that's what tore the sheet? Oh, yeah, it was the same color. But why would the sheet have been near the head? Simple. Whoever came to the shop didn't want to take a chance of being recognized, so the sheet could have been used to conceal our identity. Clever. Acquired clue, red sheet disguise. Red, calling it from a mile away, as always. It's your sheet disguise, because it's red. Um, and there's some other clue combinations you can do, but I don't actually know if you need to. I think you do. I think working through some clue combinations. I'll just do those now, and we can get. Um, oh wait, can we do this yet? Hang on, we may not be able to. How do we? Hello? I don't want to do another search because it's going to take me like 5 minutes to get there. But I need to find where this clue is. I'm going to go through this and figure out how you get this clue. It should come up nearly immediately. It's called The Fate of the Captain, and the whole idea is it's a place to compile all your clues. So it basically says, I need to figure out exactly what happened to Grunt. I should compile any clues that are directly relevant to the moments before his death here. And so you can combine a bunch of things with it to fill it out. So let's combine some things with that to see what we can figure out. Poisoned keg, of course. The killer poisoned the keg knowing only Grunt drinks fire whiskey. From there, it was a waiting game. Falling ghost potion. Not poison. Poison's not a word. Once Grunt drank the poisoned shot of fire whiskey, the falling ghost potion took effect and he dropped through the floor into the cellar. Crash landing, which you only the completed crash landing which you give Edgar. Grunt landed on a covered crate in the corner. Anything could have been in there, and not even Edgar would have noticed. We don't have this one yet. This one we need to find otherwise. Which is the covered crate with alcohol fire, which might be a little tricky to find. I want to get your guys' take on this, but I think there's going to be hints in the game you can turn on and off, which are basically like clues that can be combined with other clues will like have a faint glow to them, but also you can, if you want a harder difficulty, you can turn off those hints to make yourself have to work a little more for it. But for those who don't want to combine like 20 clues and figure out what's what and don't have that head for it, I want a more just like story focused option. Anyway, if you combine alcohol fire with covered crate, if this is an alcohol fire, thank you, Griff. I think it's a good idea too. The three difficulties I had in mind were apprentice. Gumshoe journalist, which is the easiest mode, which gives you like the glowing hints and the cuts down on the list of wrong choices you can make. The normal mode, which is called Adventure Detective, in homage to what the game used to be, which is how the game's intended. The combining clues don't glow, but you still get the intuition, which kind of pulls you in the right direction. Certain ones are grayed out, but less important ones don't show up. And you are informed in the dialogue when something is a trust up or a trust down or what have you, or unfinished. And then there's hard-nosed inspector, which is no hints. You get tons of clues to choose from, even clues that don't make sense. So you have to sift through them. You don't get highlights in the dialogue when things are used or not used. So you really have to just figure it out for yourself for people who are like hardcore into the mystery of it. That's my thoughts. Moving on. If this was an alcohol fire, the only way Grunt could have become soaked enough to ignite that fast is if the pots and pans in the crate had been filled with alcohol. Acquired clue, alcohol crate. Then you can combine alcohol crate with Fate of the Captain, and when Grunt landed, he became soaked in the alcohol that was inside the crate, and that updates that. And finally, torchlight potion. Even if Grunt had been flammable enough for the plan, there had to be something to start the fire. The torchlight potion, which was waiting to be crushed when Grunt landed on it. Fire suppressor, plus his Fate of the Captain. When the fire was raging its hottest, the fire suppressor in Edgar's kitchen activated and put out the flames. Too little, too late. Grunt was already gone. And then you auto-trigger Okay, I think what happened to Grunt is pretty clear. Unless we can somehow figure out where his body went, but that one might be a lost cause. Yeah, good work, Penny. I couldn't have done it without your help. Belle blushes. Um, Real quick, so you guys can be on the same page as Penny is, let's examine the finished fate of the captain clue, which says keg poisoned, drinks falling ghost potion, drinks falling ghost shot, falls into the covered crate, crate is filled with alcohol, drenches Grunt, falls on a torchlight potion, ignites the flame, Edgar's fire suppressor extinguishes the flame. So that is the full fate of the captain. Those are the 6 updates you get as the you combine it with clues. So you'll see question marks in place of those. That way you know, okay, something happened at this time. I need to figure out what it is. This mystery is not as clear cut as I thought it was. And there's a lot of like nice interactivity to it. It's growing on me. I actually rather like this mystery, and please let me know if I'm wrong for that. But now that we have red sheet disguise, let's go back and talk to Cal. So if you talk to Cal, and again, on the normal mode, it tells you which ones are trust ups and trust downs, so you don't need to memorize this. Falling Ghost Potion is a trust up, Alcohol Fire is a trust up, Empty Bottles is a trust up, Torchlight Potion is a trust up, Fire Suppressor is a trust up, and finally, Red Sheet Disguise is a trust up. When you get... Sorry, let's do Red Sheet Disguise, because we didn't see the dialogue. Now, Cal, was this monster you saw red by chance?
It was! That's it! That's proof! The monster's real! It's real!
No, it was a costume. We found scraps of fabric and a torn red sheet. It was just someone in a simple disguise.
But it looks so realistic.
And then when you get all 6 trust ups...
So, hypothetically, it wasn't a monster?
That's right. We really just want to talk to you so we can figure out who killed Grunt and why.
If I open this door and you're a monster, I'ma stab you real good.
I can live with that.
Not with my stabs, you can't.
Door creaks open. We see Cal peek through.
Oh, thank goodness.
He steps out.
I'll level with you, Penny. I did not have any good stabs in me. With my noodle arms? Sheesh.
I respect your bravado anyway. So, got time for a few questions?
I guess.
And now we can question Callum properly. So that's a huge segment that I forgot to put in. I think I probably put that in to make this mystery a little more, have more body to it. And also it really does force you to find all the clues you need to get to the end before that kind of nail in the coffin, so to speak. If anyone's got any theories, now would be the time to share. How long have you been here, Cal?
Since last night. I saw the monster and got so scared I up and ran. I figured it'd know to check my house, so I hid in an empty one it wouldn't know. And I mean, you found me and all, but at least you ain't no monster.
No, I am not. Acquired alibi, Callum. Monster. So, tell me more about this monster you saw.
Well, I feel a little silly now, given that it was probably just a fella in a blanket. But I saw that there monster last night. I was standing watching for the Joffrey shop, doing my civic duty to keep the city safe and all that.
You really don't trust Joffrey, do you?
Nope. Anyway, that's when I heard it, taking and tapping down the steps real quiet like. Claws, talons, or feet. I don't know, it all sounds the same really. So I stalked around to the front of the floor to see what I could see. And there it was, plain as day, or I guess night. Hunched old creature wrapped in red.
What was it doing?
Muttering and murmuring.
Was it talking to anyone in particular, or?
I think so, but I didn't dare get close enough to check.
If this monster was talking to someone on the 2nd floor, it must have been one of the prisoners.
I watched fires billow as it turned, but I guess that was a sheet. But I got so affrighted, I up and ran all the way to the 4th floor.
Did the monster see you?
Nope, waited for it to leave. I never saw it again after that.
The head, then. I mean, the head does mutter and murmur, but the head is also excessively small. Very, very small. Acquired clue, murmuring monster. We'll be back if we need anything else. Leave the door open?
Yeah, will do. Thanks for talking me down, young'un.
Anytime. Ugh. So now, we can go back to, actually, do we have all the clues we need? I'm going to check the key clue section. Fate of the Captain complete, muttering monster, all alibis, Top show. Yeah, so at this point, the solve button appears. We can solve it. But before we go, we might as well go talk to Zyla. If you try to talk to Zyla now, you get, all right, Zyla, I know you helped the culprit pull this off. What did you do? I'm afraid I don't know what you mean, love. You were overheard talking to whoever's behind this. What did you tell them? Ooh, so presumptive. Maybe they were telling me something, hmm? But you admit to talking to someone. Not at all, love. Just pointing out more possibilities to further confuse you. Yeah. And that's it. Um, that's a fair point. It does have wings. Now, I'm gonna. So, as usual, when you discover something that's not the case, I have to tell you that is unfortunately not the case. But now I do want it to be an option. Something that you could say during the kind of reveal as like a you can claim this and have it be. I like when the wrong answers are rooted in a semblance of reason. So I like that as an option because you were right. They absolutely could. Um, he did say it was like hunched over, so it's not like a perfect thing, but I do like the idea. So let's solve the mystery, gang. It's time. Um, we see, uh, uh, hmm, what is it? I think we're ready to solve the case. Really? Who do you think did it? Didn't have a thing. Well, we're gonna need to confront the whole town about it to get the last bits of evidence, but I have a pretty strong idea. I hope I'm wrong, because if I'm right, this is gonna get ugly. Uh, this is this is going to get ugly. I'm just gonna keep this going. Want to clue me in before we start? If it's all right, I'd rather not. I don't want anyone thinking I'm playing favorites. Fine. Can you go gather everyone up? Sure. Fade to the contemplation screen. 3 people dead or missing. This has to stop. It's time to get to the bottom of what's going on here, once and for all. Uh, so, I have absolute faith in you, my lady. You have succeeded in rooting out the culprit twice, and I suspect the third time shall be no different. Yeah, well, we'll see. And we're back at the town hall. Um, Zyla, Miles, and Olive are not here, and of course, Grunt is not here. Um, David is there, but catatonic. Um, and there's a very dour energy in the room. As we dive into this, guys, I need a 2-minute bathroom break, and we will dive into solving case number 3. I'm gonna make this game if it kills me. I'm gonna make this game if it drives my bank account broke. This is happening. I love this game too much. Don't talk to us about David. I'll try my best. Be right back. I'm so stoked. Okay, let's do it. Part 1, the big reveal. David, Joffrey, Nyrin, Xeris, Rogo, Cal, Penny. Well, we're all in rare form today. What did you expect? It's the hat trick. Huh? One person gets murdered, it's a fluke. So you solve it and we're good. Second, quote unquote, murder happens, and it's a relief that we caught it in time. 3 times? So what if we find the killer? Almost feels a little futile. Maybe. We can't give up now. I don't know if the culprit of this murder is the one behind it all, but I suspect they'll be able to give us some answers. Nyren, why should they? Nobody else has. And on that note, are we simply to assume Zyla was lying? Well, We don't have to assume. I know she was. Clue presentation. Xyla's shop, Xyla's journal, Xyla's attitude. I'm just going to plow ahead. This is not a difficult one. We know it's the journal. By the way, guys, if I've ever like, oh, this is obvious and it wasn't, please tell me. Because I know it's obvious to me because I wrote it. But like, some of it I think is really genuinely obvious and some of it I've been wrong about. So keep me posted. But in this case, Xyla's journal. Annabelle found Xyla's journal while organizing a shop. Every entry seems to treat the murder of Kite and everything thereafter as something that was unexpected. So what? Maybe that's the lie meant to make her look innocent. But she's not innocent. We've discovered her guilt. It was simply whether or not she was the orchestrator of all this, of all that was in question. Edgar. And if she never expected anyone to read the journal, that does seem to add up. Wait, hold on. Holy shit. There's a key clue we missed because there's someone we straight didn't talk to, and I forgot to write this down as a key clue. Oh my god. We didn't talk to Makara. Totally missed it. Because we couldn't have done this because we don't have all the alibis because we didn't have Makara's alibi. That is why. That's one of the reasons I require all the alibis every time, so you have to talk to everyone. Penelope Knifewit, what a pleasant surprise. Though I take it by the look on your face, this visit is not simply for pleasure. I wish. There was another murder. Oh no. Who was it? Captain Grunt. Oh, that funny little man. Joffrey told me so much about him. I'm truly saddened to hear this. And then internally, let's catch Makara up on how it happened. Screen fades back up. That is terrible. Well, as usual, I will do my very best to aid you. I appreciate it. Alibi. I'm obligated to ask, but you've been here all day, right? I have. Though since Joffrey has been out and about, I have no alibi. No, that's all right. It was worth asking. Acquired alibi, Makara. Inferno. Do you know anything that could cause that much fire that quickly? Cause so much fire. I hate to say it, but Joffrey would be more than capable. His mastery of the elements is absolute. He would have no trouble creating a blaze like that. I appreciate your honesty. Did he ever express any ill feelings towards Grunt? He always seemed a little exasperated with him as a general rule, but mostly because it seemed silly to him for a town like Merryroot to have a captain of the guard at all. Never once did he imply any anger that would lead to violence. Vanishing body. What could have caused Grunt's body to vanish like that? I hate to keep saying magic, but it sounds like magic. It could be anything from simple teleportation to invisibility to extra dimensional travel. Is there a way to test for things like that? 1 second. Actually, yes. Teleportation leaves extra dimensional travel. I just changed the term for something because it was extra planar. I like extra dimensional better. Extra dimensional travel and teleportation leave trace signatures in the air after they are cast. Sorry, fixing typos. You can detect where someone's teleportation began, not where it ended. But most arcane casting would not be able to detect these traces. You would need to turn to a caster with divine magic. Well, I just so happen to know someone like that. Divine tracing is the acquired clue. You can add. I also forgot you can ask about Hungry Head to a few people. It's not important, but you can get some fun reactions. You wouldn't know anything about a miniature disembodied Cyclops head with wings, would you? Goodness, that is a mouthful. I have not heard of such a thing, no. Why? Xyla has been keeping one in her shop. It was my impression that monsters could not enter this place, so it is possible that it is an alchemical creation. Alchemical creation? Yes, like the red slug Xyla used to control the others during that case. You can create creatures with the facsimile of life, even though they do not, strictly speaking, possess a soul. Usually, they embody a task or a set of rules that they follow. A common example would be a golem, large constructed creatures given false life by arcane instruction. So, what would the instruction be for the head? I do not know. How does it behave? Hungrily? Angrily? It snarls and gnashes its teeth. And we think it bit something. Um, well, either it was created with the information to consume, intention to consume, or its purpose is impossible. What do you mean? Let's say I made the golem. This is really important. I need to add, this is a key clue. This is super important exposition. Let's say I made the golem, and I gave it the task to protect me. If I were to die, the golem would simply shut down. Its task would have been failed, not impossible. It would have been unsuccessful. Its task would have been unsuccessful, not impossible. Now, if I were to teleport across the world and the golem were incapable of reaching me, its task would become impossible. In its eyes, I have been removed from the equation, and now all that is left is protect. It will protect anyone that passed, because the one that was told to protect had, in its mind, ceased to exist. So maybe this head was created to, like, eat a specific thing, like a test dummy for potions or something. But now that the thing was eaten, it just tries to eat whatever comes close? It's certainly possible. Can anyone make alchemical creations? It is tricky work to do properly, but technically speaking, yes. That said, it often requires a great deal of dark magic, so it is very taboo in most magical circles. Well, that's all fascinating, honestly. Magic often is. Updated clue, hungry, hungry head. We are going to ask David to do the thing. You don't have to. That one you can actually skip. Or can you? I need to check that, because maybe you can't. 1 second. Head. Yeah, I think we do, because it doesn't make sense to be able to get that clue and not try the thing. We are gonna let's go do it. I'm adding it to the list. I'm finding a lot of holes in this one. Hey David, how are you holding up, buddy? Da da da. Do you think you could do one thing for me? I could really use your help. Sure. I heard that divine magic can be used to sense if someone is teleported away or gone to a different plane of existence, a different dimension. Could you do that here to see if we can learn more about where Grunt went? Why does it matter? He's dead. I know, but the more we know, the better. Okay. We hear the rattling of the holy symbols chain. Nothing. Nothing? Yeah. No teleportation traces or anything. No teleporting traces or anything. Okay. Thank you so much, David. Get some rest. Da da da. Alas, poor David. Oh, I love you and I miss you. Okay, cool. So now we're gonna go back to the reveal. Holy shit! I can't believe I slept so bad. I'm really glad I caught that and now have other key clues. Mm-hmm. Nyrin, but she's not innocent. We discovered her guilt. It's simply whether or not she was the orchestrator of it all that was in question. Edgar. And if she never expected anyone to read the journal, that does seem to add up. Joffrey. Terrific. Well, let's get to it then. All right. Well, the best way I can get to the bottom of this is to first understand exactly what happened to Grunt, or almost exactly, I guess. Annabelle gave me a hand with the investigation, and this is what we found. So you can say, hungry, hungry head, vanishing body, monster, or fate of the captain. It's the fate of the captain, but there are arguments to be made for others. I don't think there's any particularly funny dialogue in the mistakes. We're just gonna keep going ahead. Edgar and I had just finished bringing up a new keg of fire whiskey, a drink that only the captain ever partakes in. Why do you make it anyway? For just one person, Zares asks. If there's a way to make anyone in this town happier, there are a few lengths I wouldn't go to. Penny. When Grunt took a drink from that whiskey, he vanished, falling through the floor into the cellar. He fell into a crate that had been filled with alcohol and was magically ignited, quickly growing into a blaze. Then, after a few agonizing seconds, he was gone. Gone. Left without a trace. Hold on, Nyrin. How does one fall through a floor? Cal. And why didn't anyone notice all the alcohol in that box? Joffrey. Not to mention, alcohol doesn't start fires. Got some holes in your story there, Pen. One thing at a time. There's a reason for all of that. You need to pick 3 clues now. I'm actually going to do this. Second. So as a refresher, because you will be able to look at the dialogue, Nyron says, how does one fall through a floor? Cal says, why didn't anyone notice the alcohol in the box? And Joffrey says, alcohol doesn't start fires. Got some holes in your story. So which 3 clues do we use? He says, as an excuse to get another drink of water. That is correct. Yeah, pretty straightforward in this case. Nobody would have noticed the alcohol because the crate of kitchen supplies stays covered to keep the dust down. That's true. Also, the cellar always smells strongly of alcohol, so if there was some extra around, I wouldn't have picked up on it. Nyron. And falling through the floor. Remember from last time, Annabelle was working on a ghost form potion? Well, she got it figured out, but there's a quirk. It works on the floors, too. A drop of the potion would have been just enough to send Grunt down to the cellar. So, Annabelle is behind this. Not necessarily. I have some other theories. And how did the fire start? Well, there was a fire-starting potion missing from Zyla's shop, known as Joffrey. Oh, another potion, huh? Hey, I was trying to help. Just because potions were involved doesn't mean Annabelle is the culprit. Anyone could have had access to those potions. Rogo. But it does look suspicious, I think. Edgar. It does, but before we start laying blame, there is another possibility we should consider. Oh? Penny, this is an awful lot of speculation. Sure, 2 potions could have been used. Grunt's drink could have been poisoned, but also the sanctuary is gone. What if this was something from the outside? Cal. Monsters! No, I don't think that's it. There's too much evidence pointing towards someone in town. But I saw it! I done saw the monster! Cal, please, we've been over this. Well, now I'm having second thoughts. I kinda don't remember why I believed you in the first place. My memory ain't what it used to be. Senile or not, Cal's right. Those potions seem a little too convenient. Especially if you want us to believe it's not Annabelle. Who else would have known which potions to use? It could have been anyone. Any one of us could have known exactly which potions to use. Which potions would get the job done. Oh, and how precisely did you deduce that? We need 2 clues this time, gang. What do we got? How did we deduce that it can't be a monster? Ooh. Oh my gosh, my back is going to be really happy for that bed when I'm done with this. Correct. Yeah. See, it does feel straightforward once you have the clues, which is good. I do want this to be that way. Because again, Penny came into this saying, like, I think I know who it is. Though I still have not heard any theories from you. Then again, there are also some other things which are going to be learned through the case, so. Cal, you saw a monster draped in red, right?
Yeah, I did. Down on the 2nd floor.
Well, does everyone remember the red sheet I was bringing about? Turns out it had a small tear in it. When looking around in Zyla's shop, we found a scrap of red silk there. It's a pretty simple deduction that someone was using it to cover up their identity in case they were seen. So what? Even if that's true, it doesn't mean that the person would know what potions to use. It wouldn't. Except that Cal saw whoever this disguised monster was, and they were talking to someone in the gaping prison. Nyron gets exclamation points, Xeris gets exclamation points, Rogo screams. Ooh, thank you. I think it was Velvet in my description for it, but nonetheless, that's a good point. Thank you very much, my editor friend. Yes, that is also true. The audience does kind of get it. It does get a little easier, but that doesn't mean the emotions get easier. We have no reason to think that Zyla wouldn't happily help another killer in town after last time. So it doesn't matter who it was. Our resident alchemist could have told them exactly which potions to take. Or it could just have been an intelligent creature from the outside, of which there are many, asking Zyla the same thing. Just because you're a special evidence sheet, you got a special evidence. That sounds. I say special evidence sheet. I'll just say special red sheet. Just because your special red sheet got a boo-boo doesn't mean there's no monster in town. Joffrey, why are you fighting me so hard on this? What's going on? Never mind. Come on, what is it? If there's something else. No, you're right. I'm just fucking tired and angry and, well, a little bit scared if I'm being honest. But I guess that's all of us. It's no excuse. I'll stop being a dipshit about this. Trust me, if there's any evidence of a monster, I'll be the first to call it out. But can we move past this for now? Yeah, you're good. We're good. Cal.
If it was good enough for past Cal, it's good enough for present Cal. Wistful. He'll be past Cal one day.
Fucking stupid. Rogo. So if it could have been anyone, how do we know who it was? We start by narrowing down who it couldn't have been. Well, it wasn't you. I appreciate the vote of confidence, but I'd like to earn my innocence like everyone else. Cal, when did you see this disguised figure? Cal really grows on you in this specific mystery, yeah. Um,
Last night, I was lurking outside of Joffrey's shop until a little after midnight, and then I heard little Talons come down the stairs.
Well, then Edgar's my alibi. He came to my house last night, well before then. I didn't realize you two were so close, Sarah says. Edgar's, it's been a stressful week. Penny, for both of us, can we move on?
Well, I was watching to make sure Joffrey didn't go and leave his store. But don't he got magic and stuff?
Kind of hard to have an alibi when you can teleport. Penny, wait, no it's not. We have a way to see if you teleported it from your shop recently. And then clue presentation, flash of light, adventure curse, or divine tracing, which is a thing we did need to have that clue, which is, I realized that, I thought I had like, oh shit, that clue is required. So if you do divine tracing, David can check inside your store and we can tell if there's been any recent teleportation magic away from that point. We used it during the investigation to try and find Grant's body. Oh, Dunk! Is that true, David? David, ... David? Yeah, sure. Edgar. Hey. You alright there, friend? No? Oof. Asked and answered, I guess. Nyron. Joffrey, would this be acceptable to you? Sure thing. It's been a few weeks since I've done any honest-to-goodness teleportation out of my store. Xeris. Then that's good enough for me. We can confirm later if we haven't got to the bottom of this. So, that clears Joffrey, Edgar, myself, and Cal. David is sad this whole time. Belle. Does it clear Cal? Well, if it doesn't, this whole line of evidence is moot anyway. No, I've got the little man's back. I heard him whispering outside of my store all night. Eh? Yeah, stuff like, I'll never trust that goddamn shopkeeper, and bet he's keeping a whole bunch of magic bees behind that door of his.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So that leaves Xeris, Annabelle, and Rogo. Huh? I have ceased to be surprised by this. I am an eternal suspect. Penny. Sorry. What about you and Nyron? Please. If we were behind all of this, why would we have needed to be mind-controlled not even 3 days ago? Edgar. She has a point. Xeris. And if you and Edgar can get away with saying you were sharing a bed, so can Nyron and I. That's fair. Besides, if you wanted to sneak around, I don't think you'd need a disguise. Exactly. Rogo. I have no alibi! It was me! Rogo, relax. You have an alibi, and anyone on the 4th floor can confirm it. Nyron. Oh, right. Gods, I suppose we can. Edgar. Who could forget? What? What was my alibi? We flash back to the scene with Penny and Edgar. Edgar wasn't there. But we are just going, so we see a scene, with Penny and Edgar in bed. You were singing at the top of your lungs for hours. There's no way you could have done that while sneaking around and plotting a murder. So that means... why did this one not get you? Okay, I spelled it wrong. No! Wait! I helped! Penny, tell them I helped! It's not about whether you helped or not, but alibi or no alibi, I don't think Annabelle's behind this. Why not? It all adds up. Using a potion she just made to commit murder, offering to help dissuade suspicion. It's quite simple, really. Is this simple? I'm going to give you the clue. It's only one clue to choose between these three. And you tell me which one you guys think it is as the clue. Because this is the first one I think isn't, in spite of what Penny says, isn't super obvious. and does take a little bit of sort of roundabout thinking to get there. So let me know what you guys think the correct clue is. Place your bets. Mm-hmm. Not not quite as simple as all that because you don't know what Penny's thinking. The question specifically, it says, it's not about whether you helped or not. I don't think Annabelle's behind this. And Naomi says, and why not? That should be phrased better. It all adds up. Using a potion she just made to commit murder, offering to help dissuade the suspicion. Why couldn't she have done it? Hungry head, you say? In Zyla's shop, there's a miniature flying disembodied Cyclops head in a cage. Nyrin, I beg your pardon? It's one of Zyla's creations, something alchemical. Earlier, I mentioned that we found a scrap of red fabric in Zyla's store. That's where we found it. In between the teeth of this creature.
Now, what exactly does that prove?
It proves that whoever took the potions from the store wore that disguise as they did it. If it were Annabelle, why would she need a disguise? We all would have expected to see her in the store. Plus, if Zyla has impressed anything on the people who go in there, it is to stay away from that cage. Yeah, she warned me on day one I was never brave enough to check under the cloth cover. Clearly, whoever it was got close enough for that thing to take a bite. Edgar, well then, I don't get it. That's everyone. If we all have alibis, was it a monster after all? Penny. No. That's not everyone. The music stops. Hang on, I'm gonna stop the music for dramatic effect. There's a pause, and Xeris gets a ... and then a realization exclamation point. Now, stop. Xeris, no, enough. I know what you're implying, and I won't have it. We have to consider every possibility, Xeris, or they are a child, Penny. He would call her Penelope in this moment. He would not use the nickname. They are a child, Penelope. They are my child. You would accuse my child of murder? Let me present my case. We'll find out together. Why, you... The screen goes dark. Oh, yes. Oh, we're going there, gang. Yeah, so that is what that clue is for. Thank you very much. Yes, it's the one you'll see in a minute, but we do need that piece of evidence. That is one of the key clues. You cannot move on without it. The screen goes dark. We hear a bow drawn in chaos. Nyrin goes, Xeris? Joffrey, hey, easy! Penny, deadly calm. Everybody, stop. I'm going to put music back on. Screen fades up. We see Xeris has a bow trained at Penny, who has not drawn weapons. Nyrin's sword is out and pointed at Xeris. Joffrey has like a fire thing in each hand. Cal is holding his cane like a sword. Rogo is cowering in the corner. Belle has conjured up an energy bubble, which she is crouching under. And David is sitting there catatonic. He has not moved. Edgar has thrown an arm in front of Penny because Edgar's a sweetheart, even though he doesn't have a weapon. Xeris, Penelope, Penny, listen to me. We can talk this out, or we can fight it out. But one of us has spent the last year honing their skills in the real world against dangerous monsters, and one of us hasn't had a proper fight in over a decade. So which battlefield do you want to try me on? We get a ... of panicked faces from everyone, ending with Xeris, who's still angry, and then he calms. We see a close-up of Xeris relaxing his grip on the bow, and the usual shoo face-off before an interrogation. So, part 2, interrogation. I remember where I was when I came up with that line. The one of us has spent the last year training, honing the skills, and one of us has to fight a decade. Which battlefield do you want to try me on? I was walking through a farmland field in Norwich. And holy shit, I have to go back and write this down. That's such a, I was so pleased with that line. Olive sleeps in their own room, right? After you and Nyrin went to bed, they could have slipped out. No. After everything that's been happening, we've been locking their door at night after I tucked them into bed. See? Alibi. And you get 3 options. Teleportation, lockpicks, ghost potion. I'm just going to plow ahead with this. It's lockpicks, but not during the day, right? You have a set of lockpicks that you don't often use. All Olive would have needed to do is sneak the tools into the room at night. Sorry, sneak the tools into the room and hide them away to break out at night. Ridiculous. I haven't been training Olive to pick locks. Nyron, you did show them the basics, if I recall. Yeah. Even if that's true, so what? They would surely have been seen by someone before they got their hands on the disguise. Um, then the options are invisibility potions, their father's child, or storage closet location. It's storage closet location. Again, I'm just going to plow these because it's going to be very fast paced in the game itself, and the consequences for guessing the wrong one are minimal. They only needed to sneak past your room. The storage closet that had the red sheet is attached to the manor in the town hall. After that, they were in disguise. They were in the disguise that Cal saw them in. This is insane. Surely all of you must see how insane this is. Why would Olive have killed Captain Grunt? What motive could they possibly have had? And then the options are mastermind behind the murders, framing someone else, or never trusted Grunt. In this case, it is never trusted Grunt. I don't have an exact motive, but I know that Olive never trusted Grunt. Back when I questioned them about the first mystery, they mentioned they were watching the captain throughout the Star Hunt because they felt like someone should be. That's a stretch at best. I won't allow you to condemn my child because of something they said in passing. Nyron, surely you too understand how far off the mark Penny is right now. Nyron, just sad face, looks away. No. No, I won't accept this. I cannot accept this as the truth. There's absolutely no evidence pointing towards this. It could have been not I could have been a monster. It could have been a monster. It could have been. I do have one more piece of evidence, actually. She says one, but it's two pieces. So I'll let you guys get the last choice on this one. I'm pretty sure you already know what this is, but you need two of these. Ooh. Pick two. That is correct. Success! We leave interrogation mode. The alcohol that was used to start the fire was from wine bottles on the shelf. It would have taken a long time and risked the culprit getting caught, but the brewing barrels would have been easy enough for any adult to pour into the crate, which would have taken minutes at most. Why take the harder way? As if that, furthermore, the bottles that were taken were only taken from the middle shelf and downwards. The top shelf wasn't touched. Why would the killer concentrate the area they took bottles from and draw more attention to the empty ones? Well, if they weren't tall enough to reach the top shelf, they wouldn't have had a choice. No, that's not... You... Fade out. We hear the bow being drawn. No! Penny. Eli! Ma'am! And there's a arrow being fired, a bow being fired, arrow snapping, shing, screen comes up. Good. Be upset. You should be upset. We see that Xeris has full-on attacked Penny. Eli snaps the arrow out of the air, like kind of floating in front of her to protect her. Joffrey. All right, you son of a bitch. Joffrey. Xeris. Footsteps. Xeris storms off. We hear a door open and slam. Nyron. Imbecile. More footsteps. Nyron, wait. I'm going to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. Catch me up on the finale later. Nyron, I believe you, Penny. I'll be back. Door open, door slam. That went about as well as expected. Okay, part 3. The finale. How are we feeling, guys? Other than upset from Red. Yeah, so I'm comfortable with that because there's definitely enough to suspect Olive, but it seems like not enough to be obviously Olive from the get-go, which was my biggest worry. That would be like almost immediate, like, oh, it was Olive. Especially because I did leave hints of Olive not liking Grunt. And I didn't want it to be too obvious. Some people might figure it out, but not everyone, and it's good enough for me. Still upset, that works. We see those who remain. Nobody looks happy about what just happened, though David is still pretty catatonic. We go through some dot faces. Yes, both are again, I do my best to kind of lead people in certain directions with the locations and everything. But the reason that mystery is simpler is because Olive is a kid. They didn't like have the same like magic, like no, clearly went to Xyla for help, but didn't have the same know-how or like magical power that Xyla did to orchestrate. So anyway, Joffrey. Oh fuck. Rogo. Genuine confusion. What? What's so funny? That's some shit, huh? Edgar. Kind of makes you want to get away from it all, really. Belle. Yeah, the outside world doesn't seem so bad now. That's all well and good for people who are physically able to leave. I am well and truly screwed.
Ain't no way to break that curse of yours?
Nope. Penny and I already hashed it out. I just don't get it, though. Why would Olive do this? I don't know. It's the one thing I couldn't figure out. I thought if we could talk to them, the door opens, Nyra re-enters. Yes, David is also intentionally suspicious. Nyren, what happened? Annabelle, you have some simple magical powers, yes? Yes. Why? Holds up lockpicks. Destroy these. You got it. We hear. There's a. Oh no, this is not supposed to be flame. This is supposed to be acid. Gonna change that. She's supposed to like go get a vial of acid and melt them down. Or maybe she does melt them with fire. I don't know. I'll check my notes later. I don't remember what I settled on. We see the lockpicks fused together, kind of melted, however it is. Olive's room is locked. I have the key. Xeris is throwing a temper tantrum in our room, but he can't do anything rash. What did I miss? Edgar. Oh, you know. The usual existential dread. Nyren. There are answers to be found here, but I need to talk to Olive. Thank you. I'm glad you like to string lockpicks. No. Look, if you don't believe me, I believe you, Penelope, as I already stated. But talking to Olive will do you no good. We have to know why they... You want to know why Olive killed Captain Grunt? I'll tell you why. Try to recall your first day back, Penny, when you solved the murder of Kite. What did I tell you when that investigation started? Remind me. I told you that we pride ourselves on safety and comfort. That talk of murder would cause a great deal of unrest, and that there would be consequences. So, I was never worried about the people in this room, the Edgars and the Annabelles and the Joffreys and the Pennies of Merryroot. You've all always been resilient. You've faced the dangers of the outside world, in many cases more than once. You know who hasn't? Olive. That child was born here and has never known the horrors of the outside world that the outside world has brought. They have been protected, and yet, as any child would be, they hold a fascination for things they cannot see, things they cannot have. We see Olive's room, with Olive drawing furiously. How do you explain death to a child? Usually they have lived experience, but Merryroot changed that, and yet Olive took a fascination with it. They didn't understand what we were all so afraid of, so they pushed the boundaries, and their imagination led to terrible ideas and notions. They would cling to falsehoods and fictions as if they were real, and look for anything they could to support their beliefs. No matter how much love and care Xeris and I showed them, they always returned to the macabre. And now, it's here. People start dying left and right. It was a sign Olive had been waiting for, that such things should be happening in their own twisted way. We see Olive looking at Grunt from a distance during a star chase. They have always had disdain for Grunt since he arrived in town, and they've never said why. Just another prejudice to hold with no reason. And now with bodies piling up, or vanishing, or what have you, Olive simply took the opportunity to lean into their tendencies that they always had. You think they were locking their door at night for their? You think we were locking their door at night for their safety? I knew something like this could happen. Deny it as Xeris would like to. I simply didn't know how to stop it. We come back to the room. Penny. You're wrong. Nyren's confused. Olive isn't just some kid with a morbid imagination. They know something. More than we do. I don't know why, and I don't know what, but I think if we listen to them, really listen, we might be able to figure out what's going on here. Penelope. I listen to Olive. That's not what I was trying to say. I listen to Olive every day. I live with them as they ramble and rave, as they go on about death traps and lies and imagined realities. But what if, Penny, I appreciate what you are trying to do for this city. I do. But let us not forget that this all began when you left, and then only moments before you came back. Penny, ... Olive will stay locked in their room where they cannot come to harm nor bring harm to another. And that will be the end of it. This madness can finally stop. Edgar. But if Zyla isn't the one behind it, we hear footsteps, door open, door close. Penny. Damn it. Joffrey. Well, great. Glad we get all the answers we were looking for. David, vacant, and continues to be as it goes on. It doesn't matter. Penny looks over at him. David, you're speaking. David is speaking. Good to have you back, bud. But what do you mean? I mean, it doesn't matter. None of us have ever had any power to stop this. It was always bound to happen eventually. David? A fistful of people stuck in a tree forever. How is that ever supposed to work? Work? David, tearing up but tone not. We see him start to cry, but his tone doesn't break. That's not living. That's not a solution. That's waiting. In the end, everyone was always going to die. It just took longer this way. Well, David's gone off the deep end. David. Edgar. David, how about we get you some food? You haven't eaten all day. David looks up at Edgar, and finally we see him break. There's a thump of a hug being initiated. The screen goes black when it fades up. We see David wrapped around Edgar, who's hesitant at first but returns the hug. And David is just bawling. I wrote it as like an ah ha 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 ha, but specifically like a crying, like one of those big weeping sobs. I just don't know how to write that. It's not a laugh, it's a sob. Hey there, buddy. You're all right. Welcome back, kid. Edgar. Actually, I think everyone here could use a break. Give me an hour or two to whip up a nice meal. Would everyone be so kind as to join me in the tavern? I think we all could use a break. Penny. Yeah, that would be nice. Sure, Rogo. Of course, Cal. Sure thing. Can you make me something with spinach? Love me some spinach. Joffrey. I'm going to pass on this one, actually. You sure? I was going to make a risotto just for you. I appreciate it, but I think I need some Joffrey time right now. Penny gives him a knowing look. Okay, sure. I'll send some over to the shop. Thanks, bud. Hey, David? David sniffles. I'm going to need to be able to walk if I'm going to make everyone food. Blackout. End of Act 3. Oh, I almost cried reading that. I think that's a good sign. Oh. Gang, how we feeling? What are we thinking? There's 2 more acts to this game. I want to know theories. I want to know what you think is going on. I want to know if who you think is behind this. I want to know all the theories. I mean, if you don't have theories, that's fine. But I want to know everything. I feel like I had another note in here. It's not something to share with you. It's something I thought of for later. What was it? There we go. Great. Guys, I'm truly glad you enjoy this. I always want a critical eye because this is something that's really important to me to be done well. So I want you always to be like, this part didn't track, or I wish we would have seen more of this, or question about this. It'll be easier when the whole thing's done, I'm sure, but please don't hesitate to drop those kinds of things on me. Looking at the document length, I was like, we should be able to do an act in the next 2 things. No. Act 5 is a monster in a really good way. Like, it has to be, but it's huge. I think we can get through Act 4 next time, definitely. And unless I can do Act 4 in the beginning of Act 5. That's fair. I know that it was a good thing for me to do that. It was motivating, but I wish I hadn't done that because, boy, I would love for you guys to be experiencing this for the first time right now. I think both of you actually know how it ends. You were both there for that stream. And again, some things have changed, but the big twist that you guys see coming is still the big twist. So that has not changed. So that's fine. Should I keep going? I want to keep going. What if I just went a little bit? Do you guys want like some extra downtime scenes? I'm just having fun. I really like it. Would you guys stick around for more? I don't want to start like. Yeah, I think it's a good compromise because in my mind, I really want to do more. I want to do like the intermission. Um, yeah, let's just do a few more downtime scenes. I'm reading through, and it's not much, but I think it would be a good. Is it? Or mm, yeah, let's wait. Let's. I want that to lead right into Act Four. We're just gonna do that. Yeah, this is my goal for this game. Very much so. Is that when people play it through for the second time, they go, "Oh, fuck you." Fuck, because there's a lot in there that when you realize what's actually happening and everybody's rolling it, you're like, oh, that's why they said and or did this. And I can't obviously go into it now, but I will 100% when we actually finish it up. So, whose downtime do you want to see? I'll do two or three or four of them. I'm too excited to sleep right now. Let's put it that way. Oh, excuse me. And I don't have a double session like I did last time. I only have the one D&D session tomorrow. And it's not even D&D. It's Edgar. That's our second Edgar one, right? Because we've seen the first Edgar scene. Um, right? We did Edgar's first one, right? With them cooking in the kitchen. Yes, we did. We definitely did. I remember reading it to you guys. All right, we'll start there. We'll do more. We'll do a few more. I want to leave some for the actual downtime, but we have plenty to go through. We still have the second Makara scene. We have we did both of David's, which is good because we wouldn't have been able to after this. Even though he is recovered, he's still even though like he's clearly gone through a shift, he still is not up for hanging out after this. So you can't do any downtime with David anymore. Um, there's both Nyron scenes, um, both Xeris scenes, I believe. Um, Joffrey's sequel, Edgar's sequel, we're doing now. Makara's sequel, Grunt, rest in peace, Zyla pre everything, as well as Annabelle, Rogo, and Cal. But let's start with Edgar. So yeah, plenty of options. As long as I leave at least two for the uh, next downtime thing, we're fine. Penny and Edgar are lying in the grass, looking up at the clouds. That they're doing that thing where their heads are next to each other, but their feet are facing the opposite direction. You know that like cover of a romance story thing. Um, I actually kind of also want to tackle Nyrin. Nyrin's, I really like Nyrin's for reasons I will explain to you once I do them. So we'll do Edgar, then we'll do Nyrin, and then we'll move on from that and see where we're at. We might do Joffrey. Well, we'll see. We'll continue doing votes, but I'll let you guys do that in order. All right, so Edgar. I miss this. Me too, sweetheart. She doesn't say sweetheart there. Me too. I tried coming out on my own a few times when you were gone, but wouldn't you know it, the sky was never the same without you. You're such a sap. Didn't manage to drag any other poor young sap out here with you? What poor young saps are you seeing that I'm not? Miles? I mean, the whole being a murderer thing notwithstanding, I wouldn't blame you. No. Believe it or not, I've settled down a bit. Not quite the wanton scoundrel I used to be. I hope you're not planning on blaming me for that. No. Well, yes. Hey, you didn't do anything wrong, but when you left, I did start putting a lot more thought into my life. And what conclusion did you come to? I think that one person of mine you asked me about last time is still out there. Oh, Ed, if you don't want to. No, it's fine. I wouldn't have brought him up if I didn't want to talk about him. What was he like? We flash back to we see a snooty, dark-haired noble with a bit of a hunch leaning over a desk, scowling and writing. Edgar has a hand on his shoulder. Stubborn, arrogant, somehow managed to be the smartest person I knew and the biggest idiot alive. Penny. That sounds like a catch. Well, that's just the problem, isn't it? It's easy to love freely with someone you accept as who they are. But when you're like me, finding someone like that starts to feel like a project. I got it in my head that I could somehow fix him. Maybe if I led by example, he'd see how much happier he could be if he was kind too. Maybe if I showed him alternatives to cruelty, he'd see the benefits. We cut to, oh guys, content warning for abusive relationships. We see Edgar curled behind a door, back to it, kind of crying it and curl up in a ball, as the student noble is banging on the door and yelling. We fought constantly. If I wasn't doing something wrong in his eyes, he certainly was in mine. It was circular. He would get angry at me for something I did, and I'd forgive him as if to show him that it was okay to forgive. And then I would get angry at something he did, and he'd lash out at me for it. It was harrowing for years. Why did you stay? You asked before how I got so wise? I had to make a lot of mistakes first. Besides, the world was over. My options were pretty slim. Wait, this was after the Harbingers came? It was. We see Edgar sitting for dinner with a noble. One day, I gave up. I stopped trying to fix him, stopped trying to change him. I started focusing on me and just shared the space with him. It's then that I took up cooking. I made us some fantastic meals. And wouldn't you know it, when I stopped fighting to fix a broken man, our relationship improved. We stopped fighting, we stopped arguing. We were, for a time, happy. So, what happened? We see Edgar in a room in front of a mirror, looking at himself with a weak smile, having just been crying. I realized when I stopped holding on to him just how little there was to love. The man that I fell for was one I'd imagined in my head. All the happiness I was feeling came from me, not him. All the love I was feeling was mine. Any love he had, he didn't know how to express it. And I had learned that teaching him to do that couldn't be my responsibility. We see a letter on a stone step outside of a house, and Edgar with a bag over his shoulder, walking away. I feel ashamed of this, but I didn't have the heart to tell him in person. It would just turn into another fight. So I left him a letter, and I went on my way. To where? With how the world was, I got lucky. I only wandered for a day before I stumbled upon Merryroot. Where he lived. It must be close. But you didn't see it, did you? I mean, I wasn't looking. We cut back to Penny and Edgar. It's been years, Penny. More than a decade. I thought about going to get him, to bring him here, but this town, these people, they deserve better than he would bring. Hey, you okay? Always, sweetheart. Always. Fade to black. Makes you think. I see an there. We see Red getting his thinking brain on. Well, think as much as you want. I crave the thinking. I crave the theories and the ideas. But let's do Nyron, as requested. We see Nyron and Penny enjoying a very neatly made tea party in a cozy firelit study. Scones, a three-tiered sandwich tray, pot of tea, the works. Yes, it's a good. How it'll shake out in the end game is a question. I'm so glad you enjoyed the heartbreak. Yes, it is. I try. The thing is, I do my best to shatter tropes with this game. And Edgar was my favorite one to do because he's the slutty barkeep, is sort of his trope. And it is clear that is something that we lean into. He's slept with a lot of the town. There's a lot of implications of that happening. We hear kind of, there's drop lines here and there that imply, oh, he slept with this person. But it's never disrespectful, and it comes from a place of real relationships, which I had to get into. And Edgar was the perfect way to do that, which I'm really happy with. But let's do with Nyron and Penny relaxing in this study. Note, the first time you can have this conversation is after the first investigation, so things are a little tense. And if you try to do this at the point in time now, you can't. You can no longer hang out with Olive, Nyron, or Xeris, which is another reason I do want Olive in there. Now you guys see, I want you to be able to hang with Olive, because if you can't, you will immediately suspect them to be an eventual culprit. So I want to make sure I get an Olive hangout in there. I just don't know how to write it yet. I'll figure something out, though.
Um, Thank you for doing this, Nyrin. I was feeling pretty tense after everything, and I haven't had tea with you in, what, 5 years? Something like that. But who was I to say no after everything you've done and everything you've been through?
So, we're good?
Penelope, I have endured a lot. I don't know if there will ever be a time when I harbor no resentment for you. But how I feel is my path to walk, and what I do about it is far more important. If I can make amends in any way, I will. Lingering resentment be damned. Well, I appreciate it even more then. Gods, these scones are amazing. How come Edgar doesn't serve these up at the tavern? Does he exclusively make them for your tea parties? He doesn't serve them at the tavern because he does all the tavern's cooking, not me.
Wait, you made these?
Edgar's one hell of a chef, but he falls short in baking abilities. Why so surprised that I know how to bake?
Sorry, I just assumed you always shunned anything like that was too ladylike. We always got along on that front.
Baking wasn't exactly a preferred pastime for me. I actually got this specific recipe from my husband before I arrived here.
Wait, Xeris can?
No, not Xeris. My second husband.
Back up. You had more than one husband, and Xeris isn't your second?
No. My second husband was Marcus Skyborn, an elf from a neighboring kingdom. It was a political marriage, and, well, I think I resented the poor fellow. It wouldn't be until after the world ended that I finally appreciated the comfort and care he showed me.
Well, you do have a track record of appreciating people more once they leave.
Very funny, knife wit.
So, tell me about Lord Skyborn. What was his deal?
Oh, nothing much to tell. He was kind, proper, caring. Everything a nobleman should be by day. And by night, a bumbling buffoon.
Wait, what?
He had the worst sense of humor, would constantly make foolish faces to try and make me laugh. He would whisper in my ear during political meetings, making it look like he was offering some deep insight, only to say something lewd in an attempt to make me lose my composure in front of the visiting nobles. Thank you for the hydrate. Oh my gods, that sounds amazing. I mean, I'm sure you hated it, but I would have loved to see that happen. I'm sure you would have. As I said, I didn't really appreciate him except in retrospect. I wouldn't mind a light-hearted fellow like him around now, at least as a fool, if not as a husband.
Wait, is Joffrey not foolish enough for you?
No, Joffrey's much too intelligent. Skyborn was charismatic, but a fool in every sense of the word. So, what happened? Did he die when the Harbingers attacked? I don't know.
What do you mean?
I was away when it happened, on a political agenda. A warlord many miles away was threatening the lands of our peasants. We could have just wiped him from the map, but there was talk of a deeper agenda, and perhaps he was working for one of our enemies. So I was there to meet the warlord personally and negotiate a truce. Then the world ended. I didn't have a home to go back to. I was left to assume that everyone there had died. I'm sorry. You know the worst part? I didn't feel any remorse. Not for a single one of them. I hated my noble's life.
Even your husband?
I wouldn't learn to love him for many years after his death. Until.
And what about your apparently unlawful first husband? Don't think I've forgotten that detail.
Of course not. I'm surprised you didn't ask sooner, but it is getting late. Perhaps another time?
Yeah, sure. Take care, Lady Nyman.
And you, Penelope.
What are we doing?
You want to finish up Nyron's story while we're here, or do you want to go to someone else and come back later?
I've got time for don't want to go later than 11 my time. So 15 more minutes and I want to start wrapping it up. But we can do a few more.
All right, we're invested in this. Guys, I'm going to be honest. I fucking love Nyron's second part. This is... I'll talk more about this when I'm done. A lot of these stories were taken from other things I've written. Like David's story is a story I've written already. Nyron's story I had to come up with from scratch and I was really nervous about it. I'm like, I don't know if I like this. And then I wrote it. I'm like, oh, I love this. So much so that I actually want to do another story with this. Okay. We're back at a tea party. You know, if we keep having these gatherings, people in town might assume that we're friends. Would that be so terrible? Not at all. It'll be like the old days when you taught me how to hold a sword properly. I taught you a good deal more than that, I think. But these days I fear I've gone rusty. You could probably show me a thing or two. Oh, come on. I know you don't just carry that thing around for show. You're the best sword fighter I know. Well, I'm the second best I know. I sense a story coming on. Well, last time you came here, you had asked about my first husband. Oh, now I know this is going to be good. Screen shifts. We see a young Lady Nyrin standing in a room of faceless folks at a party, bored out of her mind. I hated being born into nobility. I was young and naive, of course. I didn't understand what life was like for those without the privileges of safety and comfort. But from my eyes, I loathed it. The talks, the negotiations, the debates. It was all posturing. A handful of people who thought they were better than everyone else because their clothes were nicer and their tongue was quicker. I realized early that at the end of the day, it was nothing but a performance. A gaggle of fools, all carrying deadly weapons they barely knew how to lift. Should a war have started or a fight have broken out, they'd all be the first to go. I decided I wouldn't have it and requested a fencing teacher. Cut to a sort of like man with long brown hair and fencing gear, holding a rapier out towards Nyrin, and Nyrin with a, again, still young, she's like young adult at this point, not like teenager. She's younger than the Nyrin we know, who's like early 50s. Has like a long sword that's way too big for her. Um, um, my mentor, Sir Duncan, quickly realized that the rapier, a dignified weapon, wasn't the best choice for me. Uh, second. So on our first day, even as young as, ooh, should be 16 or should this be? I'll keep it for now. I might need to change that to older. I'm not positive. We'll see. Um, my teacher recognized that my build and enthusiasm was better fit for combat with a broadsword and gave me one as a gift. I relished nothing more than those classes. We kept them secret from my father for years before he caught on. Oh no, 16's fine because years past there. There we go. And fired before he caught on and fired my teacher. From then on, I stopped taking fencing classes with whatever new prick my father had set me up with, and continued practicing with my sword on my own time. I'd spend hours in my room at night, running drills and training myself. One night, I started to wonder if it was all worth it. Until we see Nyrin kind of in the tower, like beating up a training dummy with his sword, and a shadow skulking in the window. One night, while running through my drills, I noticed a sudden draft. My window had been opened. I pretended not to notice and continued my work, until my would-be assailant got close. Swoosh! We see Nyrin standing over a man all dressed in black, hands raised, small knife kind of having been disarmed. He looks thrilled, about Nyrin's age, blonde hair. Apparently, this rakish young man had been sent to assassinate me, a political show of force from a neighboring kingdom. I asked why I shouldn't kill him. His response was simple. I didn't kill you. Apparently, he had been to my window 3 nights in a row, and was so taken by the beautiful young woman running sword-fighting drills, he was unable to carry out his orders. Well, as someone who had never taken any sort of romantic interest, to say I was caught off guard was an understatement. I told him to return to his kingdom in shame, and tell them to be warned of sending others after me. He told me he'd be back the next night to see me again. How bold. We see Nyrin and the assassin sitting across from each other, both out of breath, sweating. Weapons are like thrown onto the ground, and they're having a picnic. True to his word, he came back the next night, and the night after that, on and on, always in secrecy, with neither his people nor mine knowing he was there. We would talk and train long into the night, and before I knew it, I cared for nothing else than this stupid young assassin. He told me that he had let me disarm him on the first night so that he could speak to me without holding any fear. And then he proved it, time and time again, as he bested me in combat. I'd never met a more skilled swordsman, and I doubt I ever will. We see the two in a small chapel in front of a priest. After a month, we were married. Not in the eyes of the law, of course. No priest in their right mind would have overseen such a joining. But we were married before the gods, and had no regrets. Every day, I asked if there were a way we could cease meeting in secret, and bring him into our manor. A way we could stop slinking in the shadows. I finally had someone in my life I was happy to be around, and I didn't want him to be a secret. But he still had his duties, and I still had mine. And so we met only in the night. We see them on a rooftop gazing up at the stars. I told him once I wouldn't be able to live with myself if he were caught. If he were discovered, he would surely be killed, and I couldn't survive with that blood on my hands. I'll never forget the words he said to me. They may find me, but they'll never catch me. I didn't understand what he meant at the time. The image remains, but the assassin fades from it, and so does Nyrin's smile as she lies on the roof alone. I wouldn't have to confront that until several weeks later, when he didn't show up at my window one night. I immediately assumed he had grown bored of me, or that he had fallen out of love. I was barely 20 at the time, and he not but a few years older. How was I to think he would remain faithful? I would sooner imagine him growing to loathe me than I would imagine him failing in his promise to not get caught. And yet, we see Nyron standing at a cell with a shadowy figure in the back of it in the dungeons. I learned at a political gathering something I already knew, that an assassin had come for me from a neighboring kingdom as a show of political force. He had been taken into custody and was marked for execution. I went immediately to the dungeons to find my love. Sure enough, there he was, caged like a dog, waiting for me.
The shadowy figure fades into view. It's our assassin friend.
I cried. I screamed at him for breaking his promise, for getting caught. He said nothing of it. He simply had one request for me. He wanted me to be the one to execute him. He said he didn't want to die at the hands of some thug. He wanted to die at the hands of a real warrior.
Did you do it?
I was young and stupid and in love. Of course I did. We switch now to an executioner's platform. We see the assassin, hood on, hands tied behind his back, basket there. My father was thrilled. He believed I was finally taking my duties in stride, playing their game of tit for tat, making a statement by killing the assassin sent for me. I, of course, had no such intentions, nor any such love for my duties. I stood before the man I loved, and in my sorrow and desperation, removed the hood from his head that I may gaze into his eyes one last time before... To kill someone you care for so much, that must be heartbreaking. I wouldn't know.
Huh? We see the hood come off, and a terrified assassin looks up at Nyron, gagged.
When I removed the hood, I knew in an instant that man wasn't my assassin. I don't know what poor fool my love found and tricked into taking his place, but I'd know the eyes of my husband anywhere, and those were not his. Never had his eyes carried the fear of the man before me, and I knew in an instant this is why he had wanted me to carry out the execution. He wanted me to know that, while he may be dead from a political standpoint, he lived on, somewhere out there. It was as he said. They found him, but they would never catch him.
There's a splatter of red, and we transition back to the tea room.
That's incredible.
Did you ever find him again?
Not once. But I know that if I lived through the end of the world, he did too. That man is more of a survivor than I've ever been, and even now, I take some comfort knowing he's still out there somewhere. Maybe, one day, if things change, I'll find him again. Fade out.
I want... So we know, we've already talked about this title-wise. Nothing Ever Happens in Blank is an easy franchise. You know, if there's another one, he's going to be a character. He's way too good to not be a character in that game. He doesn't show up in this one. I'm going to tell you that right now for free. Oh my god. I wrote that and I'm like, I was so happy with that. I was so happy with how it turned out. It's a little bit lengthy. Most of the second hangouts are pretty lengthy, but I'm a big fan. I guess I have one more. We can finish off Joffrey, or we can. I could get through both of Xerxes if you want to do both of Xerxes. Since we can't do, let's do that actually. If you guys are cool with that, did you said Xerxes at some point, right? So again, Griff, very high praise. I appreciate that. You wanted Joffrey first. I don't know. What are you guys feeling? You guys feeling Joffrey Part 2? Or are we feeling Xerxes 1 and 2? Let's do Xerxes because we can't do his next, and we can leave Joffrey Part 2 for the next actual downtime. Let's just do it. I'm having a good time. I'm going to do Xerxes Parts 1 and 2. This is a story that I had. Xerxes is a character. It's sort of a combination of characters, but this is a character that I have written the story for, and I'm very fond of this one. In the darkness, we hear an arrow being drawn, fired, and split. Screen fades up on Penny, who has a bow drawn and is like aiming at Xerxes on the treetops. We see Xerxes blocking the arrows with his dagger as he just kind of cuts them out of the air. It's all very casual. Your aim is slipping. I thought going out into the world would have made you a better archer, not a poorer one. Yeah, well, I sort of stuck with what I felt best about when I was out there. Generally, if a monster was far enough away for me to take a clean shot, I'd just avoid it. And if I had its attention, I felt more confident with my rapier. Nonetheless, I'd have thought the necessity for marksmanship would come up once in a while. Oh, sure, it did. And what did you do? Sent Eliezer to fly at whatever needed to be struck far away?
Happy to serve, my lady. Ugh, that magic knife has made you lazy. Oh, yes, quite lazy, says the lord of a magically protected city to the woman who went out adventuring for a full year, rescued 4 people, and came back practically unscathed. Hey, I didn't choose this life. Someone had to be the lord of the city. Oh, yes, Lauren, I'm not sure if you knew this. Eliezer is your companion for the whole game. Eliezer is very much your kind of confidant who talks to you and is hanging around. Um, uh, that reminds me, I've actually been meaning to ask, how did you come to be Lord of Merryroot? Primarily by accident. When I arrived, there were only a handful of people here, and I believe most of them were just frustrated with Nyron's pessimism. So when I introduced myself as a lord. Wait, hold on. Nyron got here before you? I thought you two would have arrived together. Hardly. I met Nyron for the first time when I arrived. She was one of the earliest settlers of this place, took on the mantle of lady because nobody really fought her for it. She is actually of noble birth, though, right? Absolutely. So did you just marry into it? Oh, no. I was a noble before coming here as well. It just so happened we both ended up here and agreed to share our rulership of the place. Not like we needed to collect tithes or anything, so it was mostly an honorary title, but people like David and Grunt were all too happy to have someone up top to report to. Helps give a sense of purpose, you know. That's wild. What's so wild about it? When you think survive the apocalypse, you don't think of the nobles. You think of the scrappy young adventurers who are living in the shit their whole life and know how to survive. Well, that describes me quite adeptly as well. Sorry, back. Oh boy. Oh shit. I wasn't born into nobility. I inherited it later in life. I came up from nothing, and then spent most of my life before the world ended out saving the day from monsters, like you always dreamed of. How does someone like that get welcomed into a noble family? No offense. None taken. And I wasn't welcomed into a noble family, precisely. I mean the word inherited quite literally. Oh, sorry. I mean the word inherited quite literally. I had something of a strange turn of events in my youth that led me to adventure with someone who was a noble by right. After many years together, I was written into the will, and the rest is history. That's incredible. I wonder if something like that could have happened to me in another life. So how'd you pull it off? What was this strange turn of events? It's an awfully long story. Come find me another day and I'll tell you. Which is code for I'm tired and I don't want to deflect your arrows anymore, right? It's code for watch your tongue before I cut it out of your mouth. Sure. All right. Have a good day, Xeris. Thanks for the training. Anytime. Whew. Let's just do Xeris 2 while we're here. It's just another one I like. So the thing is, some of these have clues. Like some of these do like hint at other things in the game, and some don't, and you don't get to know which ones. Some are just like story stuff, and some is actually when you look back, you go, and think about it. Back at arrow training. What are you up to, Penny? I don't follow. You came to me about archery training again. That's abnormal. What do you mean? My training has always been important to me. In all your years at Merryroot, you never asked to train with me more than once a month. Well, I never thought I'd find a functional bow in the outside world, and you weren't going to give me yours, so... And what changed? You mentioned you'd sent Eliezer for long-range combat, but not done so yourself. The way you said it makes it sound like you at least found the bow. I did, every now and then, and I just left it. I didn't need a bow. I was handling fine. So again, what are you up to? Archery clearly isn't how you survive. I may be up to some personal investigation. You came to hear how I stumbled upon nobility, didn't you? I'll keep shooting arrows at you if it means I get to hear your tragic backstory. Well, like I said, I wasn't always the snob, you know. I wasn't always the snob, you know. I was born the child of two peasants. Cut to Kid Xeris on the streets, very young. My parents had nothing to the names but illness. My mother worked for two while my father was sick. She died when I was very young. My father, with nobody to support him, followed shortly after. All I remember of them was how miserable they were, and I made myself a promise. I would not end up like them. I would not die with nothing. I would have everything I wanted. And I did what any orphan child with notions of grandeur would do. I turned to thievery. If you want something, you take it, right? We see Xeris, now a little bit older, kind of spinning a coin purse on his finger. Turns out I was quite good at it. I was fast, had deft hands. I often wondered if my mother would have been good at what I did, had she not walked the straight and narrow. But those thoughts were behind me. After a few years, at the age of 12, I had developed quite a reputation. the charming young rascal thief who always seemed to find his way to big scores. I made it a point to steal from those who had more than enough to spare, rather than taking advantage of those less fortunate like myself. We now see teenage Xeris at a bar, surrounded by people who are like laughing. He has a drink. He's kind of like that little kid drinking aesthetic. Since I never went against the common folk, I wound up becoming quite renowned among them. I wasn't aware I was making any sort of political statement, but they were thrilled to see a child making fools of the upper class. People would buy me drinks and food, and I realized something. You can buy friendship. With food, drink, and the errant coin from my scores, I created a network of people who were always eager to give me shelter, point the guards in the wrong direction, and tip me off when a rich convoy was passing through town. We see Xeris now working on a padlock with thieves' tools, getting a little bit older. I never liked pickpocketing much, however. Too much theater. I preferred burglary. Slip into the house while someone was sleeping or away, take their valuables, and go. No fuss, no, oh, sorry I bumped into you. Nothing for me was a greater pleasure than cracking open a lockbox. Crime Lord Xeris. Yes, basically. Finding the most valuable possession, a lockbox, finding the most valuable possession a rich idiot held, and liberating them from it. And that, as it turns out, is where my most important job would come from. We see Xeris now late teens, climbing up the hill to a large manor. The old manor on the hill had sat empty for as long as I lived, so long that people started to think it was haunted. I'd slept there for shelter a few nights. It wasn't haunted. But the locksmith's daughter tipped me off that somebody had finally moved in. An old noblewoman, the widow Olivia. And she knew this because the widow had come and purchased a custom order, a lockbox so intricate that it alone was worth thousands of gold coins. How could I resist? Xeris, kneeling on the ground in front of the intricate gilded lockbox, focused. I learned her schedule. Turns out she only ever left the manor for 3 hours every week to make a stop to the temple and local market. Otherwise, she lived in her house alone. I heard the rumors that she was a dangerous fencer, so I didn't dare risk going there while she was asleep. In my little window of time, I went and I found the box. It was a thing of beauty. I could have taken it, still locked, to the next town over, sold it, and retired. But I had my pride. I spent 2 full hours and managed to crack it open. Then, I took one look at what was inside. We see the box open. We don't see what's inside yet. We see his eyes go wide and then start to tear up. And I began to weep. Why? What was it? We see Xeris now sitting on the bed, a box next to him. He's holding a scrap of burned fabric in his hands. A bolt of cloth, singed around the edges. I had no idea why it brought out those feelings in me. I hadn't cried since the death of my mother. How could this fabric evoke that? I had to know. 1 second. So, I sat on the bed and waited. After another hour, the widow Olivia returned home to find a teenage boy sitting on her bed, crying with the contents of her lockbox in hand. I didn't hesitate. I turned to her and asked her immediately what it was. She sat calmly on the bed next to me and spoke to me with a gentleness I had not known in years. We see now Xeris and sitting next to the widow Olivia, someone she's dressed in a similar like Nyren aesthetic, kind of like black mourner's garb. We don't get to see her head. Her face is out of frame. She said it was the only memory she had left of her wife after the fire. I told her I had never found anything I loved as strongly as she must have loved that woman. To which she responded, "Then maybe it's time you start looking." Rather than reprimand me, the widow Olivia took me in. The rumors of her skill were not exaggerated, and her age had not slowed her down. We now see Xeris and widow Olivia walking side by side back to the camera along a country path, both with weapons. Olivia has a rapier, and Xeris has his bow at his back. She was happy for the company, and before long we took to the road, adventuring and searching for something or someone I could love as she did. We traveled together until age got the better of her. Olivia fades from this image, and shortly after that, the world ended. But before it did, I attended her funeral and learned that she had left me her entire estate. Lord Xeris was born. Suddenly I learned that having everything was no better than having nothing. I was the Lord only by title. I kept exploring, kept searching for a love so precious that you would lock its memory in a box. Did you ever find it? We cut back to the treetops where we see Xeris looking over to the manor at the town hall, Penny looking over his shoulder, and he says, Why, yes, I do believe I did. And that's Aziris. That's our story. I don't think the nuances there are too subtle to pick up on. I think it's pretty straight and narrow what he means by that. Tell me if I'm wrong. If that is not clear, please tell me, because I want it to be very clear. I mean, I guess mildly clear is fine. I will settle for 70% clear. That is a story I've told with only a slight twist on the ending. That character, I've only ever told that character up to the point of them traveling together. I've never actually told the story beyond that. So being able to put this in the game and having it have a conclusion, you're not wrong. It is specifically Olive, though, which, and this is the only hint we get at that is he named them after Olivia. That's all we get, as it is Olive and Olivia. And that's fine by me. Like, you can assume what you want. There it is. I expect it to be a thing some people notice, some people don't, and I'm fine with that. And when someone asks me in an interview one day if that's what the intention was, I will say maybe. I'll say yes. I'll tell them yes.